And here we are. I literally poured my coffee, ran over here, and opened the camera. Yeah, so welcome everyone. Good to see we've got a good number of people right out of the gate. So here's what happened. Like an hour ago, my mom was like, your aunt wants to know what's going on with Israel and Judaism and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, I'll just record one like talk for her. Hey, Slender Servant, good to see you. Some good friends in the chat. Oh my gosh, my mic still has the humming sound. I don't know what to do about this. It's not in my other streams, but it started doing this on Tuesday. Jeez. I was gonna try and figure this out and fix it, and I totally forgot. Maybe if I try... Okay, I'm trying a different input here, so let me know if that changes anything. I switched to my webcam mic instead of this right here mic. So anyways, I'll watch the chat and continue my story. But yeah, and so I started recording this message, and I'm a ways into it, and I'm like, this is like the best content. Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. We're just gonna stick with the webcam audio then for now. My last mic started having problems, and I switched to this one. And once again, we're on the webcam. So, anyways, well, it still makes me look cool. Makes me look like I know what I'm doing, and I didn't just sit down and turn on a camera and start blabbing. But which is exactly what has happened. But anyways, I'm recording this message. I'm like, this is the greatest explanation of this I've ever given, from the beginning, from the Old Testament through the Galatians and Romans, into Rabbinic Judaism, into the Schofield Reference Bible, into the modern day movements, into Project Mocking Pastor, like all just incredible, truly my greatest work. And then I look at the time, and it's 5 minutes till the stream starts, and I'm like, okay, how do I wrap this up? And I wrapped it up. I figured out how to like give this little final conclusion. I covered everything I felt like I had to cover, and I clicked send, and it deleted it. So not only was I like behind getting the stream set up, I was very frustrated by this. But the reality is that this is probably going to just be a stream someday, like probably in the coming months or whatever. I'm probably just going to do a stream where I cover all that stuff I covered. But it's frustrating when it's like I'm an expository person, and so when I'm speaking naturally in my most comfortable way, expositorily, and it all comes together perfectly like that, it's very frustrating to lose that. It was very annoying. So yes, let's see here. Yeah, the webcam mic is working better for us today. I'm just glad it's working. But yeah, I do need to figure out. I know that there's software that will often address problems like this. But yeah, I was gonna look into it before the stream, and I completely spaced. So anyways, so for everyone here, I think we have a lot of regulars, but we got a couple friends that have been betraying me up until now who finally joined the stream. But the main crux of my streams, no matter what the topic is, whether it's a reading day or it's a discussion day, which usually, so far, Tuesdays have been like topical, and then Thursdays have been reading. My priority is answering questions or talking about things with people in the chat. So I like to engage people. I haven't so far had anybody on with me. I had Alex Soren offer once, but which is awesome. I was very excited, but I was very tired and not feeling well. Yeah, Evie, feel the love. I was really groggy and tired, and I was like, I would love to have him on, but we might have to do it another time. So it was, yeah, it was like 10:30 at night, and it was like one of my, some days I'm more groggy than others, and I was extra groggy. Yes, yeah, JT Gamer, I am planning to get to that. I'm just kind of like bringing us together here, but yeah. So answering the questions and stuff is kind of the crux, and then whatever other thing is going on is kind of the filler. You know, if there's no questions, whatever. Then I'm, reading. So today we probably will be reading Elder Thaddeus. Actually, last stream on Tuesday was the first time that we didn't touch the topic at all. Like, I answered questions the whole time for 3.5 hours. Usually I go 3 hours. Yes, Aaron is correct. God said no. Usually I go 3 hours. Like, that's my goal here. So it's 7:22 here, Utah Mountain Time. So 6:22 Pacific, 9:22 Eastern. But yeah, so that'll go 9 o'clock Pacific, it'll end, or midnight it'll end. So yeah, East Coast people, you should be ashamed. But thanks for staying on the stream. But you should be ashamed. Go to bed. Not yet. I mean, just before midnight. But I'll probably be up past midnight. But anyways, that's neither here nor there, because then I would have to feel bad about my life choices. So it doesn't matter. I've declared it officially. Anyways, yeah, first off, JT Gamer asked me a question, so I'm going to tackle that, and then I'm going to get the Elder Thaddeus book going and pick up where we left off. It was a while ago. Yeah, because I took a week off, and then I was sick for a week. We might have done one in there, but yeah, it's been a little while since we've read Elder Thaddeus. Let's see. So JT Gamer asked me up here, I had a few people earlier today told me that I shouldn't go to the OCA Diocese of the South, that OCA is messed up, and then I should learn Greek or Russian. How do I deal with people like that? Me, that because he's using voice typing, which if it's possible to not use it, it might be better, because it's a little hard to follow some of the messages, but if that's your only option, then that's what you got. Me, that because OCA ended innovation to become English-speaking convert ready, that's become woke by Orthodox standards. Yeah, so people say this stuff, and I've been to a good number of OCA parishes, and this did not apply to them at all. There are ones that are kind of woke. There are Greek parishes that are, I think I've run into more problematic Greek parishes than OCA parishes. There are some Antiochian parishes, and I usually go to an Antiochian one. My advice, simply put, and I mean, I'm just one person amongst many voices, but my advice would be to not listen. Go to whatever your closest parish is. If you recognize there are some problems there, then maybe, talk to me and talk to other people, like talk to other pious Orthodox people and see what they say about those problems. Lots of parishes have problems. There are some parishes that you probably wouldn't want to go to, but the idea that like all OCA parishes are woke now is just, that's silly. I've been to quite a lot of them. I've been to an OCA monastery, and none of them that applied. I know they're out there, but they're everywhere. And you have the opposite problem. Some parishes, it's not that common, but some parishes are too rigorous, too far the other way. And it's good that the church has this variety. Like, there is a diversity within Orthodoxy that is good. It is good that we have some who are a little more gentle and passive and liberal, and a little more rigorous and tough and more traditional, like even by Orthodox standards. And they balance each other out. They come together as the body. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. Now, obviously, being wildly woke, or having gay marriages or whatever, but we don't really have that. That's not really happening. Could happen, and problems happen sometimes, but that's not even happening. So yeah, and I mean, there's some people who are so far the other way where they're like, oh, you changed the calendar, we have to break off from the church. The thing is they broke off from the church, so they're not a problem anyways. Just don't go join the genuine Orthodox or true Orthodox, any of the schismatic groups. So but yeah, you have to judge parish by parish. People who are judging by diocese just probably have heard one horror story, or went to one parish they didn't really like, and they were like, they're all liberals. Yeah, it's go to the OCA parish, and if there's some stuff happening that's really concerning, if they have rainbow flags, they're not going to. But if they have rainbow flags, also this mic doesn't work. They're not going to. Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. So you can always go on their parish website and look around too, but it's not going to hurt you to visit either. Like if you go there and they are like the most liberal Orthodox church in existence, you'll be fine, and then you'll just be like, oh, let's try some of the other parishes in my area. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So let's get back to where we are in the chat. Lord have mercy indeed. Declaring, yes, I wear it and declare it. That's my policy. So JT Gamer says, my priest is in the one I'm talking to currently about getting up to the parishes. He's wanting people to rethink and let go of Enlightenment ideas. What do you mean by that? I mean, there's lots of Orthodox that the Western world is influenced by the Enlightenment. It's just like I guess I would say it's oddly specific. Like, you know, there's a lot of different, like, what about Protestant ideas? What about Catholic ideas? What about you know, Reformation ideas specifically, Enlightenment ideas, but also Renaissance ideas, you know, postmodernism, modernism, you know, what does he mean by Enlightenment? Because that's like very, very specific. Numbers and letters, you're only, well, I started a 15-minute timer, so you're like 12 minutes late at the most, but we're really just starting here, so yeah. Slender Servant says, I saw someone earlier complaining about people not going to Greek parishes as if inquirers are hating them. Yeah, Greek parishes vary, and I'm not an expert, but I know enough to say a little bit. Like I converted in Portland, Oregon, and there were a couple different Greek parishes there, but there were two main ones, and it was very interesting because one of them was like the cultural Greek parish that had the big Greek festival, and the other one was like the Greek convert parish, and they didn't have any conflicts, but it kind of like worked out for people. Like if you liked the Greek museum, you could go to the big cathedral and have Greek fest, and the priest was Greek and everything. And then if you were like, I'm a convert and this one priest isn't Greek, and that doesn't bother me, and these people are very pious and they read lots of Orthodox books, and are very serious about the spiritual life, you could go to the other Greek parish. And so I think that actually kind of worked out as a blessing, you know, and the fact that they don't have hostility towards each other is really good. But some Greek parishes, like, and I think if you would have wanted to convert at the very Greek parish, they wouldn't have rejected you or anything like that. But there's Greek parishes like that where they're kind of like, why are you here? We're Greeks. But those are kind of rare. And again, like on the rare chance you went to one, you would just be like, oh, I'll just go to a different parish then. So they're out there. One of my friends visited one of the rare Antiochian churches that was actually all in Arabic. And they were not rude to him, but they were confused by him. Why, you know, like all Arabic people, the whole service is in Arabic. This was in California, and he goes there, and they're kind of like looking at him like, what are you here for? Like, you know, what are you, hello, like, yeah, very confused. And so he comes there and he's like, oh, this is why they're all looking at me, not because like they're judging me, but because like this is all in Arabic and I clearly am the only white guy here. So yeah, so like that kind of stuff happens here and there, but you know, most even like the Greeks have a bishop that's the head of the Greek church in America. A lot of people probably know who I'm talking about, but he's really problematic. Like he's like, in my mind, he is the most problematic bishop that we have in the church. Has been associated with scandals already, and he's in charge of the Greek church in America. And some people will be like, don't go to a Greek church, which is funny because if people are saying it's OCA, and it's like, do you realize that the Greeks have like the world's most controversial Orthodox bishop right now? Like the Greeks, like the OCA doesn't have anything like his eminence. But, and I'm like, I'm a big on like, don't criticize bishops, be really careful. And this guy is like way past enough of the line that I feel like I still call him his eminence. Like I still refer to him by his title, because that's the Saint Paisios did not like this one bishop, and he would still respect him, even though he would be like, I don't think that that's right what he did. So we still speak with respect, but yeah, he's very concerning. Former Turkish intelligence officer, baptized a gay couple's adopted baby, which is like, well, I don't think that's against the canons, but that's like something you wouldn't do. Like, you shouldn't do that. Like, you shouldn't be welcoming this like mangled process of God's natural order into the church. But anyways, yeah, it's just weird how selectively people pick these churches to not go to. And the thing is let's say that His Eminence things went bad enough. People will be like, oh no, what if he is like not a good bishop? It's like, cool, like say he said gay marriages could be a thing, which I don't think he's going to do, but let's just say worst case scenario he does. People are like, what if I'm in those churches? It's like, those churches will probably just switch to a different diocese. Like, you go to the average Greek church and your priest is a good priest. It's not a threat. It's not the end of the world. These things have been happening for 2,000 years. There have been, like, some of the people worry that, like, what if a bishop goes bad? And it's like, I don't know what happened the last time. Like, some of our greatest heretics, Arius was a bishop. Nestorius was the patriarch of Constantinople. The Pope has been a heretic. And remember that one time he went into schism and created this whole new church that's, like, been a problem for 1,000 years? So, yeah, like these things happen, but and there's something valid to like criticizing them and being concerned about them and learning about it a little bit, etc. But like they're not that much to worry about. Like, people will make mountains out of molehills. So the Orthodox way is like, well, we can talk about it, but we're cautious and we're not uppity, and we trust that Christ heads His church well. That's really key. Trust that Christ heads the church well, and need a sip here. There's a story. I think this is a really important story. I sometimes talk about this with my clients, but it's totally worth sharing on the stream. So Father Thomas Hopko, of blessed memory, he reposed like right as I started exploring the Orthodox Church. So we were kind of like that Umbrella Academy meme of like the two people going by each other in cars and looking at each other. It was like he was on his way out, on his way up, and I was on my way in. And I listened to his podcast a lot. Some of you probably listened to Father Thomas Hopko's Speaking the Truth in Love. It's still on Ancient Faith Radio. He has some books that are really good. I've read his Lenten Spring, his Paschal devotional book he wrote, really good. Father Tom, wonderful. Some people criticize him, and there's a lot of these teachers similar to the diocese. There's a lot of these teachers where people are like, Father Tom said this, look, he said it right here, screenshot, and it's like, oh, yeah, I disagree with that. And they're like, see, how can you even read him? And it's like, there's some saints that said some things that all the rest of the saints were like, that's wrong. That's not that common. People sometimes say saints are wrong when they're not, just because they're confused and they don't understand them. Reformed read some of the church fathers saying that the Eucharist is literally the body and blood of Christ, and it actually communes us with Him. And then they go read them saying it's a symbol, and they go, see, they disagree. There's two different views in the fathers. And we're like, that's not what symbol means. Like, symbol means real connection. You guys are using it backwards, like the opposite. So anyways, this happens a lot. So we don't default to this, but there's times. But generally we default to assuming we don't understand. But still, my point being, that in the end, it's not the end of the world. So like people being like, Father Thomas Hopko was wrong about something. Ancient Faith Radio was wrong about something. Father Peter here was wrong about something. Maybe not, but maybe. But it's not that big a deal. We listen to the whole church. We listen to all the saints. We listen to our priest, especially in our bishop, but our whole parish. We listen to everything. And what we hear all in one voice, that's the voice of the church. That's what it means. We don't look to sola scriptura, which means we're looking to our interpretation. We don't look to the Pope or the magisterium, like the Pope with his leadership. We look to the whole family across 2,000 years, across heaven and still on earth, across cultures, across geography, across time, like all these things. One whole. That's what it means to us. For, as the scriptures say, the church, which is the pillar and ground of truth. I like to call it sola ecclesia. Ecclesia is the church. But the church includes babushkas and little kids and monks and and people who have since reposed and are now in heaven. So that's what we look to, is the whole family, the whole body together is our authority versus the papal and the Protestant models. But yeah, going back to Father Thomas Hopko, we're way off, but all good stuff. Father Tom, I was listening to his podcast, and he had this one episode, and I could probably find it. If someone wanted me to go look it up and try and find it, I could probably find it. I know one of my friends actually found it when I told him about it, and somehow he was able to find it amidst the like hundreds of episodes that Father Tom did, and they're awesome. A lot of them are like commentaries on like the nuances of like liturgics and our feast and what they mean. So you really like if you listen to one of his episodes on a certain church service, they're really profound. But he did this episode, and the thing is that this is mostly like a citation from someone else, not from him, but he was the one that introduced it to me and to many other people. There was this book about an Orthodox nun, and she was in an area where there were no Orthodox places for her to be a nun. So her bishop gave her the blessing to basically live the spiritual life in a Catholic convent. So she was Orthodox. She wouldn't participate in most of their stuff. She'd participate in their meals. She'd do her prayers by herself, and then she'd go to like the local like lay people Orthodox church, and report to her. The priest there was probably like her spiritual father or whatever, or she had one somewhere. But anyways, she lived in this place, and it was interesting because she talked a lot about how they didn't keep any of the fasts, and it was very weird to her. Like she didn't know like that Catholics don't keep most of the ancient traditions, and they don't know that they don't do this. They don't know the ancient traditions. They're so disconnected that they it's like a lot of Protestants don't even know what the church fathers believed in order to disagree with them or agree with them. And so anyways, she lived in this monastery. And while she was there, she was already kind of like scandalized by the Catholic nuns that she was living with. But she was hearing more and more about church drama. And she was hearing about corrupt bishops and ecumenism, and also the true/genuine Orthodox, which were the opposite. And the ecumenists are too liberal, and then the true genuine Orthodox are too rigid and legalistic and like overly conservative, like conservative in the wrong ways. Like we should conserve the right things, but they were like, they left the church over the calendar, and it's like, well, maybe we should keep the calendar, maybe we shouldn't change the new calendar, but leaving the church over it, no, you don't leave the church. And that's its own conversation we get into. But she was getting really like blackpilled over all this, really dejected and despondent, and she's like, what's going on? Like, why is this happening? And it was really like distressing her. Like it was causing her like incredible anxiousness, and she was not doing well. And finally she kind of reached a breaking point, and she's like, why, God, why? Like, and she's like, Holy Theotokos, like what is going on here? And she said that this was the only time in her whole life that she had any kind of like supernatural experience. And she heard a voice, and she just knew it was the Theotokos. Like, it didn't even need conveyed to her. But she heard a voice, and she knew it was the Theotokos. And all the Theotokos said to her, in her anguish over the drama and politics and scandals of the church, all she heard was, it's all very different. It's not what you think. And she realized that like she just kind of understood, which is very natural to like something from the Lord or from one of the saints. She just kind of understood that what it basically meant was that all of these things that are happening, and we kind of know this as Orthodox, but we forget to apply it, like these broad principles, but all these things that are happening, God is allowing all of them, and he has a purpose for them. It doesn't mean that the person isn't like doing something wrong and might be punished, or that we might, have to suffer, but that suffering is allowed by God for our salvation. And that applies to literally everything in our whole life, even especially when we're allowed to sin, our own sins, and we're suffering from them. All of it is allowed in God's providence. I chose it. You didn't cause it. Like I'm the dumb one who did that dumb thing. But he also can stop us at any time too. And so he's not mad that like we're breaking rules, but he's pointing out the rule breaking because that's symptoms of the deeper problem, our love for ourself, our pride. And so a lot of these scandals and stuff are allowed in order to soften us, how many times are you like not praying enough, and then you hear someone's in the hospital, or you hear some horrible news, and you're like, oh Lord, have mercy on them. Lord, please help and care for them. Take care of this person that I love. And suddenly your heart is actually engaging in heartbroken prayer. And yeah, that's something to absolutely thank God for. That's something that's actually a blessing. Now, obviously, like, we actually want the other person to be well. It's not just like, oh, I'm glad they were sick so I could learn to pray. Like, no, it's nothing like that. But when we have these scandals, we absolutely should pray. We absolutely should not be black-pilled and discouraged. I talked about this a little bit on Tuesday, but we should have a little bit of grief. Like, we should have our heart break. God doesn't feel shamed or guilty, and he's not like, the saints say he's not like literally mad at us, even though that's like some biblical language, and some Christians insist on taking that as literally as humanly as possible. God's wrath is a lot, like, you read the church fathers, they have a lot more nuance to that concept than God being like literally angry. But God is grieved. He is heartbroken. And so we need to not be like dejected and black-pilled. We need to trust the Lord. But when things are ugly, when things are sad, even the saints are sad. So that's two different things. We kind of forget to make that distinction. So anyways, I just think that's very key, that all of these things happening in the churches, there's a time to not go to a parish. Like, there is a time. I don't like making these things black and white, but in general, most parishes are adequate for the purpose of the Orthodox Church, which is to give you an opportunity to repent. And repentance doesn't mean like, don't punish me like Monty Python, like averting our eyes, oh Lord. Repentance is turning the heart to Christ, which includes apologizing for doing wrong stuff and going to confession, absolutely. But that's not all it is. Like, and that's not the crux of it. The metanoia, repentance in Greek is, I point this out all the time and I can't repeat it enough. Metanoia, the Greek word translated repentance, means change of noia, change of nous, change of heart. And it implies the direction of the heart. So the heart is supposed to be on Christ, and it's on created things instead. And it's made an idol of them, and it's become weakened, and it's become passionate, it has passions. And Christ says, the scriptures say, crucify the passions. And that means taking our attention and putting it back on Christ. This is what prayer is. This is what, especially the Jesus prayer is. This is what we're doing when we go to church. Even when we're with other people, we pray for them. Lord, this person in front of me, help me to love them and listen well, even as I'm praying while they might be talking. But we're praying for them, and that's repentance. Repentance is every way we can amending our heart to being back on Christ, including apologizing to Him, including fighting against temptation. That's all repentance. But that's what we're on this earth for. So any parish that allows us to do that, if we can read spiritual books and then the people there cause us problems and we say, glory to God in all things, Lord, use this difficult person to soften my heart. Thank you for using them. Look how mad I am at them. Like, thank you for using this difficult person to show what a difficult person I am. I'm probably worse than them. Lord, have mercy on me. Have mercy and heal me. Thank you for sending someone. I could have went to a parish where everyone was nice to me and then I wouldn't even have known how sick I am. But I'm going to this parish where the people are a little off, and that shows how incredibly off I am. Like, this is what the saints teach us. Like, I still am working to think like this. I can say it, I can parrot it from the saints. I'm still working to actually think like this when it matters most, when someone at church is actually being awful to me, which is not, that hasn't happened at most parishes, but the parish I go to, it's wonderful. It's like one of the best parishes I've ever visited or been to. It's Father Paul Trubenbach, so he pastors it well. And the reality is I'm weak. Like, I'm a weak person. That's why I go to a wonderful parish. The people who are stronger, God lets go to a parish that's difficult. And He, whom He loves, He chastises, the scriptures say. But, I'm weak, so I get to go to a really nice, gentle parish. So, yeah, like whatever situation we're in, we turn that to Christ, including when there's church politics. Church politics, the devil really wants us to be discouraged by everything. He wants us to fight with each other. He loves, it's his joy to cause division and depression and arrogance and all these wicked things. Christ is the King of peace. He wants us to have peace. So anyways, I'm going to get back to the chat here. Numbers and Letters says there's a tiny helicopter in your room. Does that mean my mic still isn't fixed, or what does that mean? Yeah, Samuel. I was wondering. I was like, nobody's talking in the chat. Like, I don't know what that means, but hopefully that means everyone is just like glued to the screen. Like Thaddeus is just like the spirit is moving through him in the spiritual gift of mansplaining. Like, it's just the Holy Spirit has mansplained through him. That's what I'm hoping. Yeah, anybody's welcome to ask questions, but I see JT Gamer said something and I haven't caught up here. JT Gamer says, I'm tired video about getting back and getting the proper mindset, traditional Orthodox mindset. He's got an entire video series, what I was trying to say on let go of Western ideas and being back to the pre-Enlightenment Christianity. Okay, yeah, I kind of follow it. I think I follow what you're saying. You're saying your priest has videos. He sent you his own video series, is what I think, if I'm following here. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, I know a lot of books about this. Well, and this is kind of like JT Gamer. This is almost exactly what I was saying last stream when we were talking, and what we were saying on the Discord server. That it's like the Western mindset is I have to go read these theology books to understand Orthodoxy. And again, those are part of Orthodoxy. Like, I don't want to sound for a moment like those aren't part of Orthodoxy, but your Orthodox spiritual life is the life you're living with the saints of our day and our time. And so reading, and it's what, like, the whole purpose of those theology books is to protect what's going on in these sorts of books. Like, that's why you have theology, is to protect the spiritual life that the saints model for us and help us live. So that is what matters. Like, you're not going to go to heaven from, like, you're not going to please, you're not going to please Christ because you read Justin Martyr. You're going to please Christ because you did what's in this sort of book, what's in St. Porphyrios, what's in the Gospels, like the Sunday Gospel readings. This is why we're reading the Sunday Gospels, because they're most important about how to treat your neighbor, etc. But Justin Martyr, he writes what he does to protect that, which is why it is so key, it is so important. But on its own, it's nothing. And it's living the spiritual life that makes you understand the humming is back. Oh my gosh, I'm on the same microphone. I don't know what it could possibly be. That's so weird. Is my desk rattling? If I hold my desk here, does it stop maybe? I will say, wait a minute. Let me know if that changed it. One time I did have a buzzing coming through and my desk was touching my desktop tower. Let me switch back to my old mic and see if maybe it stopped. Because I realized what may have happened. I had a kit, so my tower was not touching the desk that the microphone is on. And that one time caused a sound. There was a cable just now that was like I'd coiled up and it was wedged between the tower and the desk. So I'm wondering, and I see chats coming in, I'm going to get to you guys. I'm wondering if that's what was going on just now. It stopped. It stopped! I think we solved it. I think it was that cable. I think I tucked it in there Monday or Tuesday. So that would explain last stream. Let me switch back to the mic. I haven't switched back yet because I would rather use this guy. Because I paid for this. I paid for this guy. Like, I don't want to use the webcam mic. So, and we are on this one. Testing. Am I getting louder? Let me know in the chat. No! It's back? What's going on? Where would that be coming from? I'm so confused. There's just nothing here except for the tower that could be causing any problems. So, yeah, no, numbers and letters, everyone's saying it. Multiple people are saying it. Michael DeRobio, good to see you. Man. Yeah, I don't want to take the time on the stream to like diagnose this unless it's really bad enough that I absolutely have to. I should have just taken care of it already and I spaced out. But yeah, is it happening now? That's so weird. Okay. Where were we in the chat? So, yeah, JT Gamer. I was talking about his question here. JT Gamer Nintendo. Yeah, there's a lot of priests that have catechisms online, and I always recommend Father Paul's. But this spiritual life is so key. Like it's everything. And so, even some people ask me, like, what I did when I was exploring Orthodoxy was, I was doing my intellectual due diligence and studying the other world religions, and that can be risky. Like, you're just new to Orthodoxy and you're reading books on other religions, but it was what I think for me it's what I had to do. And I will even say that, like, it was tempting at times, because I was reading the Upanishads, which are the some of the oldest religious texts in history, and the, like, some of the oldest Hindu texts specifically. And there's lots of Upanishads, but there's a collection that's like the specific most famous collection. That's what I was reading. And one of them is called The Lord of Love, and it's like a personification of the divine self that Hinduism is focused on. And I remember reading it and being like, maybe the religions do teach the same thing. Like, maybe it is all this same God. And eventually I was like, it's Orthodoxy. But I had a respect for these other groups, and I think they were on to something, like Justin Martyr talks about the spermaticos logos, the seed of the logos in everything. But I had to do my due diligence and research, and I think that a lot of people, that's just what they kind of have to do, is they have to hear other perspectives. Sorry, I just remembered what my main actual point was. Some people say stay away from stuff, and I think that could be a good idea. I mean, if it's like, Aleister Crowley, yeah, stay away from that stuff. I'm going to say that too. But some people will be like, no, don't listen to this person, or don't listen to that. And I mean, that's true a lot of the time, but I also think that, like, at some point you get too controlling, and you have to ask, like, am I telling people how confident am I that I'm a correct teacher to tell people not to listen to anyone? And so what I default to be a little safer is kind of similar to what I said earlier, is like, listen to everyone. So, like, it's not like don't read those early church writings, especially not those, but make a point to read the spiritual writings. That's what I'm saying is most important. If you want to read those early church writings, if someone feels like they need to read Catholic writings or even Hindu writings, just make sure you are reading the most important Orthodox writings. It's not about, like, don't read Justin Martyr or the early writers that you were posting about earlier. But make sure you read spiritual books. That's what I would assume your priest is talking about. Pre-Enlightenment Christianity. Enlightenment Christianity is to go focus on researching all this doctrine. That is the very Western mindset. And so pre-Enlightenment Christianity would be a focus on the life in the church. And that's what, go read this. Go read this. This is life-changing and will teach you the most important. You will not learn as much from Justin Martyr, as wonderful of a saint as he is, and as important as his writings are, about pleasing God, than you will reading Elder Thaddeus or St. Porphyrios' Wounded by Love. I know that was also shared on our Discord server. So, and to anyone who doesn't know, almost everyone else here knows, but I have a Discord server. I think it's linked down below, unless my links got changed. Yeah, there should be a bunch of links down below. Let me just check that they're there. I could wait for someone else to say it, but I'm just going to check myself here. So, live, filmed in front of no studio audience. Let's see. Yes, yeah, it's down below. Yeah, I've got my, oh, it just went away. Thanks. Yeah, I guess I'll just plug it while I'm here. Down below, I have fake super chats. I don't have enough people to like activity on my channel to have real super chats. So if you want to support me, ask a question formally, even though I'm going to answer your questions anyways, but it's just a way to be nice to me or whatever. But there's Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. I also have a Patreon. great way to support the channel. I really appreciate it. And support my work. I do a lot of free coaching for people who don't have money. I'm sure some of the people in the chat like are people that I've like, you know, like messaged me on Twitter, and I've had lots of conversations with them, helping them with some problem, and I, you know, don't get paid for it or anything. That's fine. I'm going to do that anyways, because that's what I like to do. Not because like I'm some noble person, but I'm like, that's my addiction. So some people it's, you know, like hacky sack or something. And for me, it's, dude, you could tell I grew up in the 90s and 2000s youth group scene. A hacky sack, my goodness. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Like, there's a few people in the last several streams who, like, on Patreon, it's like $2 a month. That adds up, and that's a huge blessing to me. So and I have my website down below, which has coaching info, my blog, and like a contact me page if you want to formally contact me, ask a question, or ask about my coaching program. I have a Telegram channel where I post church father quotes. I post when the streams are happening. I also post occasional musings, like little writings, sometimes like about OCD or negative thoughts or something like that. I also have my Discord server linked down below, which I think most people I'm seeing in the chat are on that already. But really wonderful Orthodox community. Try to be a little balanced there, like not too, like a little conservative, a little literal, open-ended and chill with people, a little bit of offensive humor but not too much, a little bit of talking about Judaism. Yeah, it's a good server, so, and I'm thankful for everyone that's part of it. I'm not as active as I wish I was, even though it's like I run the server technically, but the moderators are where it's at. So there's also Spotify. If you'd rather listen to my talks on audio on Spotify rather than here on YouTube, half of them are on Spotify. And I think there's one, like I think the first episode is My Journey to Orthodoxy. That's not on YouTube anymore because the video quality was horrible. So it's only on Spotify, which is technically what my Tuesday streams are about. But if you want like a short version instead of like 16 hours of video, then there's my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook. Anyways, back here to the chat. Let's see. 4,000 minutes ago, there was a chugga 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 sound. Dang. How are you listening to what was happening in my apartment at that time? That's really creepy, numbers and letters. Let's see here. Okay, scrolling down. Aaron says the mic switch stopped that. Yeah, this cup, my mom got me Mandalorian. I guess I like Mandalorian. I like my Dragon Ball Super cup better. I have these two mega mugs, this one and Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super I dropped in the sink one time and it chipped, and I was able to epoxy it back together. So it has like a crack that might get worse one day, but I love that mug. It was like $4 clearance on GameStop's website. And yeah, I love it. And so Mandalorian's all right. I don't dislike Star Wars. I've watched like lots of Star Wars stuff, but it's not like my favorite or anything. But it's still cool. It's still a giant mug. It's very useful. So and Mandalorian's pretty cool. Mandalorian probably is the, like, just objectively, not even like, oh, it's my favorite, but like the best Star Wars since the original like trilogy movies. It is good stuff. So we could talk about Star Wars if people want to, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole without someone provoking me. So let's see. Don't give away our secret hideout. Okay. There's no Discord server. Orthodox Survival Course is a good small study of the introduction of scholasticism into Christianity. Yes, Slender Servant, the Orthodox Survival Course is amazing by Father Seraphim Rose. It's like lecture notes that he had for a course that he would give, and then a lot of people read those lecture notes online. Sometimes it seems like it's hard to follow him when I've watched. But the thing is Orthodox Survival Course is not a good introduction to Orthodoxy, in my opinion. It's very much like specifically about the rational problems. And yeah, so it's like something that, I mean, if people want to watch it early on, I don't think it's going to be a problem. But like, watch it as a complement to like spiritual stuff.
Like, go dive into the spiritual. Develop the Orthodox phronema. Phronema means mindset. Like, think like an Orthodox Christian. Respond to everything in your day like an Orthodox Christian. Build that. Build those habits. That's what's key. Like, I cannot stress that enough. That's not like oh, this one thing that we should learn is Orthodox. It's like everything in your day infused with orthodoxy. When you see someone on the street, pray for them. When you're worried about something, start asking God to help you with it, and thank God for showing you your weakness. Like, these are the phronema, the mindset. And as I've said before, Elder Thaddeus, my patron, says that the job of a Christian, I'll probably say this like all the time on my stream because it's worth it. The job of a Christian is to be an air purifier. There's the theme of the aerial spirits who send us negative thoughts. It's the demons, and they're meant to destroy our peace, and they're poison. They're like poisonous smog in a way. And he says that the job of a Christian is to convert bad thoughts into good thoughts. So this bad thought, like nobody loves you, pops in your head, and you're like, 1, God loves me. 2, all the saints love me. 3, pretty sure like this person are my friend and care about me. And even if there are people that don't like me, God uses that for good. Glory to God in all things. And by doing something like this, we flip the thought into a good thought, and out comes pure air. Comes out prayer. Prayer comes out, and Elder Thaddeus says, in this way, the Christians of the world purify the whole atmosphere. So your optimism doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone. And so that's a very key thing. And so the more we can tap into the Orthodox mindset, the better. And so, and then as a complement to that, we can do our academic study. We can read books about doctrine and dogma. We can read about the Enlightenment. We can learn a little bit about politics. We don't want to put any hope in politics, but we can know about it. And some people are called to that. Like, some people are called to be, like, there might be an Orthodox Christian who's called to, like, be in politics, like, in a political office or something. Obviously, like, in Europe, that's just a thing. Here in America, we're like, oh, should we even do that? It's like, this is actually very unusual that there's, like, no orthodoxy in politics. Like, emperors used to be Orthodox back when those were a thing. So, yeah, it's... So Orthodox Survival Course, full circle here, falls in that category of something that's like it's not a good primary thing, but as a secondary thing, it's really, really, really good. And it really tracks the history. I think if someone asked me Orthodox Survival Course or something else, before that, I would recommend Father John Strickland's Age of series, 4-volume book set, The Age of Paradise, Age of Division, Age of Utopia, and Age of Nihilism. Even just the first book, but I think that people who read it will want to read the other 3. I'm actually in the middle of the 3rd one. I haven't read the 4th one yet, but I know it's going to be good. They're very simple and easy to read. They're a little easier and less heady than Orthodox Survival Course. Not that Orthodox Survival Course is super heady, but it's definitely less so. And so, yeah. But after that, probably Orthodox Survival Course. That's kind of like the 2.0 class. And if you already have the context of Father John Strickland's series, Orthodox Survival Course is going to be really good because you already know a lot of things that Father Seraphim Rose is appealing to. So, JT Gamer says, if you watch Ancient Faith today about like a year or 2 ago, you've heard... I used to watch all of Ancient Faith today. I think I've seen heard every single one with... back when it was just a podcast, every single one with Kevin Allen, and then, blessed memory, he reposed, and so they're still going, but I haven't kept up on them. So, JT Gamer, feel free to send me on Discord, the episode you're referring to. I'd be really interested. But yeah, John Thomas, nice, good to know. That's awesome. I wondered if it stood for something. Aaron, Xenia thought this was the Lion King cup. Yeah. It's just he's holding Simba down here in this little floaty thing. He dropped him. This is what's Simba's dad's name? I don't even remember. Mustafa? Is that his dad's name? Mustafa. This is Mustafa. He just looks kind of like a man. And then he dropped Simba, and he's laying down there. That's Grogu. right? Is that Grogu? I don't even remember things today. So, numbers and letters says Kitsugi stream when. That would be cool. That would be really cool. Thaddeus show and tell. Hey, we could do Thaddeus show and tell. I got an idea. I sometimes bring icons down, but this is like the equivalent of that. My friend Talia Thekla painted this for me. She asked if I wanted to commission a painting, and I was like, can you paint a picture of me and Elder Thaddeus together? And she's like, sure. And she sent me this in the mail, and I was like, Talia, I had no idea this was going to be this amazing. That's his actual, like, this looks like his actual monastery in Vitovnica, Serbia. This area isn't. It's like that would have other buildings around it, but there's even like a little icon of the Theotokos you can see, kind of right there. But yeah, this is like maybe my most treasured and prized possession. I couldn't believe it. She charged me $40 for this. I was like, Talia, you should be charging people like $100 at least. So yeah, I love this. So anyways, I had to show that off. Sometimes I use it on my social media profiles. But yeah, maybe I'll show off maybe we'll do Kitsugi one day. Actually, how I was gonna start the stream, instead of a timer, and then I was busy and I was late, and so I had to get my coffee. I found this game for $1 that I impulse bought today, and I played it for like 2 minutes, and it drove me crazy. And I was like, I should play this for 15 minutes at the beginning of the stream. This should be my beginning of the stream as people come in, watching me get frustrated. The game, let's see. I'm just gonna pull it up here. I'm not gonna play it. If people demand I play it, I might play it. But I want to see if I can just play like the intro video here. Browsing. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Well, we'll figure this out here. It's like I want to call it a typing game. It's like a typing game, but you hold your fingers on 5 buttons on the keyboard. You get to pick what they are. So it's like A, S, D, F, and the space bar. And then you lift fingers according to the patterns on the screen. And I made it through the first 5 levels. There's only 14, but it's like, you don't realize how hard this is. Like, this is mind-numbing. And some of them I sat there and did them like 30 tries, and that was the easy ones. Just like lift. Ah, messed up. Dang it, restart. Lift. Wait, which fingers? Ah, and then you time out. So I did get A on the first one, but anyways, this was just very interesting to me. Yeah, I was playing. I was gonna, like I said, I was gonna do this for 15 minutes on the stream, like actually play it, and then yeah, it. Then like I said, I had that whole Israel situation, and so now I know how Iran feels. But anyways, let's see. Let's get back to the chat. Yeah, it'd be fun to just do little... I want to do little quirky things, but I also know that some people aren't interested in those things. Like, if I stay on brand, then I know everyone that came here for Orthodox stuff is engaged. But I know a lot of people like quirky side quests, and I like that too. I like to... a personality that just likes to show fun little random things. What I really wish... This is, like, the biggest peeve I have with streaming, is I can't play music. I love music. I wish that every stream I could open it with like a couple songs. Like each stream I would play like 3 songs, and they'd be wildly different. One would be like metal, one would be jazz, one would be like like polka electronic remix or something. Like I love music, and I love making people sit through my music. I mean, showing people, introducing people to my music. But yeah, you'll get, like, YouTube will mute it or take your video down if you play copyrighted stuff, and so that's very lame. But maybe we could show and tell other things, like open with a little bit of gaming, or end with some gaming. When everyone's wrapping up anyways, and the people that want that. Let's see. Zinnia says, what's your favorite things for a Pascha basket? Oh, man. That's really tough. My favorite things are cheese, but I'm allergic to cheese. I can't have cheese. So that's probably not a good answer, even if it is the truth. Yeah, I mean, it probably ends up being meat. Like, it's meat because I'm already a meat guy. And due to my health issues, I think most people who watch my streams and know me already know this, but I have a blessing to eat whatever I need to eat, which usually ends up being a lot of meat. I eat mostly ground beef. But like the idea, but my goal is to like eat simpler meat, like to not eat fancy stuff, not eat bacon, whatever. Like it's mostly ground beef. I did have some chicken recently, and apologies to anyone who's tempted on Lent, but believe me, you don't want what I got. I would trade all the health issues that I have to like eat regular Lenten food. So it's not a worthwhile trade to get to eat meat. Plus you're sad because you're not participating with your parish and the other people you know. But I will say, when Pascha comes, I eat meat in a way that I didn't eat meat during Lent, where it's all this like barbecue and yeah, as long as it doesn't have soy products in it. Like that's sometimes a problem, like you get a barbecue sauce with soy in it or something. But yeah, like some good bratwursts or some beef jerky. Like yeah, that's a good Pascha basket stuff. Also, the main alcohol I drink that seems to not bother my gut is usually like wine. I'll drink a hard seltzer once in a while, but that's not as exciting. So like drinking a fancy wine would be really cool for a Pascha basket. But yeah, and eggs, I do love eggs. But yeah, I can't do dairy. So there's no dairy before, during, or after. There's no cheese fair. There's just fair. There's just fair week. Anyways, Slender Servant says, would you say Harmony is a good introduction? Surprisingly, I've only watched a handful of Harmony videos. I watch a lot of YouTube, unfortunately, and the YouTube that I watch tends to be like lectures and talks that are like, I can space out a little bit. Harmony's like videos are so good, it's actually like discourages me from watching them, because I'm like, oh, if I watch a Harmony video, I want to like sit down and watch it. And so yeah, what I need to do is just watch them anyways, and they're visual too, so I can't like multitask, which is what I like to do, you know, fry my dopamine receptors like a good boy. But what I've seen of Harmony was good. I think a Harmony video would be I'm going to say like a middle of the road answer. I think it's very circumstantial. I think you would have a specific friend who you know they like artsy stuff, and you know that there's like a Harmony video that's about the questions and things that they've talked about or a subject that they're into. And I think that's when I would send them a Harmony video. Like I know one of their videos, it might have been like the Death to the World one. They talked about how when you're a kid, everything is like all beautiful and peaceful, and then there's the one day where you realize that people will fail you and you're not perfect either, and then you're scared and you spend the rest of your life protecting yourself. And it's like, I remember when I was a kid and everything was innocent, and then it got dark, and it's always been dark ever since. There's never been a place of light and hope. And they like talk about that, and I've heard people talk about that specifically. When I hear that, I send them that Harmony video, because like, oh yeah, this is about that. So I think like when we're recommending stuff to people, we have to keep that in mind. I think I might have talked about this on another stream, but it might have been the last one, but I had a guy who was talking to a friend in like a Twitter thread, like in the replies, and they're like, what's a good Orthodox book to learn about Orthodoxy? And they're like, Rock and Sand by Father Josiah Trenum. And I'm reading this, I'm like, what? And I respond, I'm like, what's your background before like you started to look into Orthodoxy? And they're like, a Buddhist. And I was like, why are you recommending Rock and Sand? Rock and Sand is a book that has no other purpose except for people who are connected to or used to be connected to the three Protestant reformers, Calvin, Luther, and Zwingli, to be refuted. That's all it is. It's a refutation of them. It's like a very niche side apologetics book. You don't, if someone asks you for an Orthodox book, you don't recommend them the book you like. You recommend them the book they need. And the idea that you don't even estimate that you just recommend Rock and Sand is like wild to me. Well, Rock and Sand is a fantastic book, but it's like you would if someone's a Buddhist, they may never need to read that book. Like there's probably it's probably not even a book they should ever read. What value would it have to them? Like reading a random refutation of like maybe if they have friends who believe that, okay, there's value. But like unless a situation arises that their life is in some way relevant to Reformed Protestantism, they'd never need to read Rock and Sand. And that book is fantastic. So yeah, a big pet peeve of mine is like introduce things to people based on them, not based on you. It's the same with like anime. Anime is a very broad genre. Like, yeah, people think of it as very niche, but it's not. Like a weird, like slightly sexualized comedy anime is different than like Dragon Ball Z and Naruto shonen anime, which is like hero adventures for little boys. And then those are different than like Studio Ghibli, which is like the equivalent of Disney movies from Japan. And those are all different from like 80s, some of the 80s like sci-fi anime, and like mechas and stuff like Votoms and Gundam. And there's also series like anyone who knows Monster, the manga or the anime. I've watched the anime. It's like a serious drama. Like it's nothing like any anime and like that most people when they say anime are even thinking of. They're like Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online or whatever. And it's like this is nothing like those. It's a very serious. Even the art style doesn't look like traditional anime. It's this very serious one that takes place in Germany and is like goes into German history and stuff. Really intense. It's almost more like Breaking Bad or something. Rather than anything like anime. And so one of my pet peeves is like someone will tell their friend, you need to watch anime, you need to watch Dragon Ball Z. And I'm like, whoa. If they're not into guys like, I love Dragon Ball Z, by the way. Like, I'm talking about things that I love. Rocket Saiyan, Dragon Ball Z. I love Dragon Ball Z. But if someone isn't into like power levels and like really good Saturday morning cartoon fights, like the best, but Saturday morning cartoon fights, they're going to watch that, and then they're going to be like, I watched Dragon Ball Z, and I didn't like it. I don't like anime. And it's like, you missing out. Like, they might love Monster. They might go watch Monster and be like, oh, this is a masterpiece. This is like a very serious, mature thing. This is what I like to watch in a show. Or vice versa. Monster might be a little boring to them because they have like a mental illness or something. But Dragon Ball Z, might be their thing. They like the fighting and the bro stuff. And so... I'm very big on like curation. Like know the person you're recommending things to. I say the same thing when I'm talking about teaching too. When I was in high school, the teacher's just like, read Frankenstein, read Shakespeare, and I'm like, these are boring. I already know the story. It's boring. I don't understand Shakespeare English. You guys are all talking about it, and I'm like, who cares? Like oh, a character betrayed another character. I've seen that in like Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon I watched when I was 12, like betrayals. Like, what do I need this like boring guy from, I don't know when Shakespeare lived, 300 BC. But I this is boring. And years later, I had an English teacher in my Bible college who actually finally engaged in a way that like I actually got like, oh, I can appreciate Shakespeare now. I'm not going to take the time to learn Shakespearean English and understand what these are saying, but I don't think they're stupid anymore. They're just not for me. But yeah, I was like, man, if only my teachers in high school would have taken the time to like get to know me and teach in a way that reached me rather than demanding I read stuff that I wasn't interested in and then just expecting me like apply yourself, we're telling you have to read this, so you have to read this, and I'm like, I'm gonna skim it and I'm gonna BS your little study questions. So yeah, and not that that's like justified, but I'm very big on like being a good teacher, that like being a lecturer is meaningless. Like a video can replace you, AI can replace you very easily, but being a teacher means learning a person and figuring out how to take who they are. If you're the teacher, you're the adult. You're the one who has the higher responsibility. So learn your student, get to know them, ask them questions. What do you like? What stories do you like? And then say, you need to read this Shakespeare story. And let me help you if you don't understand it. I've already read Frankenstein. Okay, here's a book. The story will blow your mind. If you're really bored with the story you already know, let me pick you a story that you don't know. I'm, again, big on curation, big on being a good teacher. Big on tangents. Anyways, harmony, that's what we were talking about. So harmony is one of those ones where I think especially there's huge potential for it to have like these exact perfect videos for like the artsy person, the person who's talking about something that exactly one of those videos are talking about. I wouldn't default to it in general, because I think the artsy thing that makes it so incredible is also like kind of niche. Like there's people where that's going to just hit them square in the face and they're going to be like, this is really good. Espresso says, from Mustafa to Grogu is wild. Hey, it was Xenia, it wasn't me. Don't put that on me. Don't you put that magic on me. What's the quote? Don't you put that witchcraft on me, Ricky Bobby. That's right. Let's see. Orthodoxy in the Bible Belt. Oh, 2020. Yeah, it's more than a few years ago. Okay. Well, I will Google that. Make a little note for myself later. This was so long ago. Maybe I did listen to this. Oh, Father Tom Soroka. I've not listened to any of this podcast, but I've met Father Tom Soroka because I went to the Ancient Faith singles retreat, 30s plus singles retreat, because I'm an old guy. Like, I took my walker and I hit on the ladies. But yeah, Father Tom Soroka spoke there. Really good, really fantastic talk, really comforting, actually, for a lot of us elderly singles. But I'm 35, by the way, so I look a lot older than you'd think. But yeah, the beard is mandatory. I have to have the beard. But anyways, yeah, I saved this whole podcast here. Thank you, JT Gamer. I'm very curious, especially Father Tom Soroka. Yeah, since I know him. I want to meet Father Stephen DeYoung and Father Andrew Stephen Damick someday, so we'll see. Damn it, Bobby, put down that video game. Nice. Let's see. You could hum for the entire time for free. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, Thaddeus hums the hits. I'm going to record it and sell it on a CD. You get a free, get my mixtape of humming karaoke if you sign up for my Patreon. These are really good, horrible ideas. I think Gunship's first album is royalty free. That's the synthwave guy, right? Like, that does the claymation video. Is that who you're talking about? Numbers and Letters. Sorry, I'm a little behind on the chat here. Yeah, that's Gunship's awesome. I think he does 2 of those. Last I saw, he did another one. So I'm a big synthwave fan, vaporwave fan too. If anyone wants my mixtape, no, if anyone wants my synthwave or vaporwave playlist, my best of tracks, like really good variety, whatever, I make incredible playlists. Girls that like playlists always like me because I make pretty good playlists. So allergic to cheese, my condolences. Yeah, I cried. I actually got a speeding ticket because I was spacing out and drove too fast because I was driving away from the guy who did the blood test and told me I should never have dairy again. And I was just like, and then I was like, whoa, there's a police car. And he's like, why were you speeding? I could have told him, I was like, I just got bad news from a doctor. I didn't have to mention the cheese part. But I was like so spaced out. I was just like, I didn't see the sign. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to ticket you. But I could have told him I had doctor news without mentioning the cheese. So, but yeah, I was like, I grieved cheese for months. So, and I kept eating it on and off. This was way back when I was still a stoner, which I've mentioned that once in a while. But, yeah, so I still would eat a little cheese once in a while and it wouldn't affect me well and I would get sick. But I was a lot better because I wouldn't eat as much of the stuff he told me not to eat. So it helped a little. Zinnia says, I took Mason and Daisy doggos for a walk and so many people were grifting. Yeah, now I'm grifting too. Like, here you are watching my grift. Grilling. I do that too. The old, Zinnia, I don't think you ever went to my old apartment, or did you? It was like a really nice apartment. This is a cheap apartment. I live in like the slummiest apartments around my church. However, this specific unit was completely like trashed, and so they remodeled it, repainted it and everything, so it's like a brand new trashed unit. And actually all the appliances are new, the countertops are great. I've seen in the other apartments that are in my building, they're not nice. So this was like a blessing from the Lord, because the last place I lived was really nice, I shared a one bedroom so I could afford it. Like one bedroom shared with like a dude. I mean, they were both. I had two different roommates while I lived there for a year, for like 6 months each, and they were great guys. So like, it wasn't that weird or bad. Like I was good friends with them. It's less weird sharing a bedroom with someone that's like a good friend. But yeah, and we loved that building. Like it was really nice. But they had this balcony. It was on the 7th floor, and I was like right next to it. So I would just like go outside and go out on this huge patio. 7th floor, you could look out over all of Salt Lake. Everyone assumed I was really rich because I lived there. They're like, you must be making bank on the like coaching thing, and I'm like, the opposite of that. Like I make just enough to live, and I'm happy. I do work that makes me happy, and I pay my bills, and I live paycheck to paycheck. But it was nice living there, and I could afford it because we were splitting it. But here costs half the rent, literally half the rent. So I can live here by myself for the same amount of money. And my bedroom is tiny, but I don't care. Like I'm just glad that it's not a studio, that I have a place for my bed to go, and then I have this area out here. But my least favorite thing about living here is that there's no balcony. I just wish there was an outdoor area, even if it was like a public one. I didn't have a balcony at the last place, but I had that outdoor area I could go to. But yeah, I do have. If you go out this back door. There is a fire escape. I've sat out there on the fire escape and smoked a cigar a couple times. But yeah, outside of that, it kind of sucks. So sometimes I just open the window and I put my face right up against the screen and I pretend that I'm outside. Hooray! I'm so happy. Anyways, yeah, good to hear about your walk. Let's see. Numbers and Letters says pocket sand. That was probably a reference to something I said a while ago. I apologize. Razvan Love JC says, what Harmony video were you talking about? None. Someone just asked like a while ago now if Harmony was a good channel to recommend to people, like as an introduction to Orthodoxy. And I was saying I think specific people, specific videos, it would be great, but I wouldn't just like send them to the channel unless like they were like a video person. They were Protestant. They loved like, if they're like, I love Kubrick and Tarkovsky and all these great directors and Akira Kurosawa, then I might just send them straight to Harmony. Xenia says, Howl's Magic Castle? Yes. Howl's Moving Castle? But yes, that's a good one. Studio Ghibli, I'm partial to the serious ones. So, and that's two particularly. My absolute favorite is Nausicaa of the Valley of Wind. That movie makes me like tear up multiple times. There's beautiful Christ imagery, there's captivating music, and there's some like visual sequences and it like all combines just like like when I watch Nausicaa, I'm like, I wanna be like her. Maybe I want to marry her too, but like I want to be like her. Like I want to be that hero. I want to be the one that like if a little animal bites me, I don't move. And then it learns that I'm safe, that even if it hurts me, I'm not going to hurt it. It's like, it's such beautiful Christ imagery. I want people to feel like that. I want to be that for real, not just simulate it. Like St. Ignatius of Antioch said, it's not that I want to be called a Christian, it's that I want to truly be one. Like I want to be like Nausicaa. She's very saintly, very Christ-like figure. And Princess Mononoke is really good too. I like Nausicaa a little better. But Princess Mononoke is good. I haven't seen that one in a long time. Yeah, and then the other Studio Ghibli movies, they're good. I appreciate them, but they're not quite my thing. Like, they're like, ooh, weirdo, fantasy adventure. Like, oh, who knows why a house is walking? Who knows why there's, like, these little dust creatures in Spirited Away? And, like, a lot of it's very abstract. I think I enjoyed Porco Rosso, anyone that's seen that one. But it's been like 16 years since I've seen that one. Yeah, I'm not a fantasy guy. I'm more of a sci-fi guy. I'm more of like systems and master them. I play like, I've talked about before, I play Factorio where you like build factories and stuff. That's one of my favorite video games. I play modded Minecraft where it adds all these machines and nuclear reactors that you build and stuff. And I always say I'm going to do the magic and the fantasy mods, and I never do it. So actually recently, the server I was playing on, I was actually doing some magic mods, but trying to build the Ars Magica spell books where you can construct the spells from individual pieces. Very interesting. So anyways, back to the chat. I realize I like when I'm behind because it means there's a lot that I can read about. So I know there's lots. Sorry, I shouldn't read the chat while I'm talking because it won't mean anything. It'll be words for sure, but if they mean anything, probably not. I like when there's a lot of chat because I know there's a lot to talk about, and we're getting engagement. So I appreciate the questions and stuff to get us going. Numbers and Letters says, I like Akira, but that's it. Everything else is a rip of Akira. Or as Jerry says in Rick and Morty, Akira. Well, that's an opinion, Numbers and Letters. That is sure an opinion. Akira is a classic for a reason. But I don't know. I think you've been watching too much Father Moses McPherson. But Akira is good. It's not. It's like there's a lot of works where you respect them a lot, but they're not your personal favorite. And I would say Akira falls in that. Like, and I mean, I do love that, like, that 80s sci-fi art. That's like, Akira just nails that. So I do really appreciate that. But there's ones that can do that and more. Saris, good to see you. Sorry I'm late. That's how the stream works. I do it 3 hours so that people can come and go. And yeah. Good to have you here. We haven't read any Elder Thaddeus. I mean, I plan to at some point, but we might just chat. So I personally, I love when we just chat the whole time. I love just having people to talk to, and I like being useful and answering questions. So yeah, no, thank you guys for being here. But if people are like, I really want to read this Elder Thaddeus book, like that's what I came here for. Hey, let me know in the chat, and I'll think about making it happen. Maybe, possibly. So. Oh yeah, Xenia says that was so funny, and then she said she had to go. So yeah, she might be gone already, but God bless. Thanks for coming. If that's not obvious, she's from my parish. She's speaking as if I know her really well, so she's one of my parish homies. Yeah, and also like my favorite female saint is Saint Xenia. So I have a couple good female Orthodox female friends who have her as a patron, which is really cool. Second would be Saint Catherine, and those are both like really popular. It's almost like I'm always like, hey, it's kind of cliche. Like I like, my patron's Elder Thaddeus. You've probably never heard of someone who has him for a patron saint, but yeah. Then I'm like, favorite female saint is like the two most popular Orthodox saints in America. So Saint Mary of Egypt is really popular too. But let's see, and shout out to I wish he was here. I don't know why he doesn't join my streams. I'm gonna message him right now, call him out. My friend Turtle, anyone who's on Twitter knows, probably knows Turtle. Where are you? Why aren't you ever on my streams? Maybe he'll see that and he'll feel really guilty. I'll even send him a link. Turtle is from Trinidad. He's a Trinidadian kid. I think he's like 20 now, but back when I met him like 4 or 5 years ago, he was like 16 or something, and he was just like one of the like young annoying Trinidadian kids on Orthodox Twitter, and he had I think a Rocor priest that went to the area and baptized him and received him into the church eventually, in Trinidad, which is like about like in the not the Gulf of Mexico or whatever Trump calls it now, but that like whole ocean, the Caribbean, where the pirates are and the skeletons and stuff, and Jack Falcon. No, that's me, Jack Sparrow. Yeah, Trinidad's down there. Trinidad and Tobago are these two nations on this one island, closer in to like Panama. Anyways, yeah, he's a cool guy. We've been friends. He's like my annoying little brother, and yeah, I've talked to him for years. Like he's like one of my oldest Twitter friends. But it's cool watching him grow up, and God willing, one day he's like gonna come to the States and visit. But why was I talking about Turtle? I don't remember. Apparently I haven't drank enough coffee. Numbers and letters. Yeah, Gunship is obsessed with clay. The thing about clay is that it's truly the most horrifying art medium that has ever existed. They can try day and night to make CGI scary. It will never have the uncanny valley effect like claymation does. Claymation is the pinnacle of horror. Nothing competes with the John Carpenter's The Thing. It's just like these nasty alien claymation creatures. It's truly impressive. Like, it's deeply unsettling. But Rick and Morty did. I'm being one of those cringe guys who's talking about Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is cringe, but I still watch all of it. Obviously. Yeah, it's super Reddit, but unfortunately I'm kind of Reddit. But they did a claymation special, like in between the seasons. It's like this 10-minute horror special. It's almost like John Carpenter's The Thing. And it's like awful. It's haunting and horrifying. But and Gunship's video is like kind of creepy. They're not trying to be creepy. A few parts. There is the 80s creepy stuff. But it's like, yeah, it is cool. I really like that music video. It's very creative. I mean, 80s nostalgia is getting a little Reddit and cringe, but I'm really sad because I do really love 80s stuff. Like Stranger Things, people have their opinions on it. Stranger Things is good. It has its problems. People rightly criticize it. I don't know if anybody watched the last season where there was like the coming out as gay scene, which I saw coming from the third season. I knew that character was going to come out as gay. And everyone was like, "Oh, this is horrible." And then when I watched it, I was like, "It's not as bad as everyone said." Like, I don't like it, but it's not. It didn't ruin the show. I thought it was a mostly satisfying ending, except for the ambiguous part. I'm not getting into the details. I don't like spoilers, even if people don't care. I'm not gonna. Let's see. Oh, JT Gamer says, "Have a good night." Hey, I don't know if you're still here, but yeah, have a good night too. Thanks for coming. Also, yeah, same age as me. That's cool. Probably another 1990 birthday kid here. Yeah, but Stranger Things did the 80s nostalgia really well. It's like after the first season of Stranger Things, like everybody was doing it. Everyone's like, throwbacks to the 80s. And I love when people do the memes where it's like what the 80s look like in movies, what it actually looked like, and it's like boring and dull and whatever. But in the movies, it's like neon and pink, and oh my gosh, we're all Blade Runner stuff. But Cyberpunk, ooh, that was did you know Cyberpunk 2077 took place in the 80s? Anyways, yeah. Let's see. Numbers and Letters says Synthwave and Vaporwave are awesome. I'm also the last person who still likes dubstep. I wondered where the last person was. I'm glad you're here. I wondered where you were. I was like, there's gotta be one person left who still listens to dubstep. As long as you're not like, I love dubstep, and then you're playing Skrillex. Like, then I'm gonna be like, it's not you. It's not you. Because Skrillex is not. He uses some dubstep, but he's not. He's complextro or a lot of other terms. Let's see. Numbers Letters says, I have a book on Tarkovsky that I still haven't read. I sat down to watch all of his movies in order, and I got distracted. So I watched Yvonne's Childhood, and then I watched, which one came next? Andrei Rublev might have been next. I think that was later in his filmography. I watched the one after that. It could have been Stalker, but I think I've only actually seen those three, maybe one other. I still haven't seen Solaris or the remake. I've never seen the remake. I have no idea what it's about, so don't tell me in the chat, please. I like going into movies blind. But yeah, I love doing that with directors. Like, don't look up anything. They're a famous director. Watch their movies in order. And so, yeah, I would love after I watch all of them to like engage in content like analyzing Tarkovsky. Let's see. Yeah, claymation scared me through childhood. That is real. Just watched Michael Jackson's Moonwalker last night and I got the frights. Yeah. Turtle, dude, we were just talking about you. Everybody knows who you are now. Good to see you, man. Dude, I'm so happy you're here. I don't know if you'll get to stay, but Numbers and Letters says, never saw Stranger Things. I prefer normal objects. Well, tales of its strangeness were greatly exaggerated, so there's only a little stranger danger when you watch Stranger Things. But I would say the first season of Stranger Things, I would say it's a must watch. I would say it's 10 out of 10. Like, you could go watch the first season and then be done with it. But I think there's value in watching the rest of it, especially if you like 80s. If you like 80s at all of Stranger Things is worth watching. Like, I don't think that's really hard to say. You're going to get a little bit of cringe LGBT stuff that's going to give in a modern Netflix show. But you can watch the first season, and I don't even know if it has. I don't think it has any of that stuff. And it's like a well-rounded story. It's really like the new Goonies. Or if anyone saw Super 8, that's one of those movies that's really good, but it just kind of is forgotten. There's just too many movies. But Super 8 was good. It's like that. So, Thaddeus, can you get your stuffed turtle? Also, beautiful icon corner. Number 2, thank you. Number 1, yes. Well, I would have never brought the turtle on the stream, but Isaiah asked me to. So here's my stuffed turtle Acacia. We kind of match. When I'm a 35-year-old man, by the way, and this is my stuffed turtle. When actually the girls that I like that I have a stuffed turtle. Okay, let's be real here. Okay, so silence, stop. When I was, gotta have her like the homie here. When I was in college, I was like, oh, I was homeschooled and whatever, and now I'm an adult. I gotta be an adult. I had like 1,000 stuffed animals as a kid. I was a stuffed animal kid. I had all like 100 Beanie Babies and like 50 stuffed alligators and 40 stuffed crocodiles. And I was like, well, I gotta be a grown up now. Like I'm going to adult time. And so I go to college, and a couple of my friends at college had like a stuffed animal, and I was like, wait. No one judges you for that? And I was really depressed my freshman year, like really having a rough go of it. And one of my friends took me to a stuffed, a toy store to help her pick out a stuffed animal for her nephew. And they had this turtle. And all these stuffed animals, the price tag is like $100. And I look at the price tag and it's like $30. And I'm like, I kind of want this stuffed turtle. I kind of want a turtle. I just like need a turtle, like while I'm really depressed in my dorm room. And I went home and I was like, I regret not buying it. And I went online and it was like $30 free shipping online. And I was like, yes. And I ordered it. And it came in the mail. And in like the middle of the mail room, I just like opened it right there. And I was like, my turtle. And I took it and I went to my dorm room and I just sat there and hugged it. And I was going through it. This was when I was like 19, 20, probably 20 at the time. But I was having a rough go of it. And so it was really good to have the stuffed turtle around. She functions really well as an extra pillow too. She's like very pillow sized, and so win-win. But and then Turtle and I became friends on Twitter, he's like all into turtles and whatever. And I posted on Twitter like me with my arms crossed and like when your homie asks you to a turtle off. And he was just like, dude, you have a turtle? Like, yeah, made his day. So we became friends forever at that point. This is the turtle. So there you go, Isaiah. I don't think I would have volunteered to bring the turtle on the stream, but just for you, because you asked me to, bring in my 35-year-old man stuffed animal on the screen. So anyways, so that's the turtle. Let's see here. Fudge. Oh, I'm behind on the chat too. Thaddeus, can you get your stuffed turtle? Slender Servant says, I guess I'll keep my Skrillex liking to myself then. Why was that? Sorry, I'm a little behind here. I listen to more folk country music though. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a cliche. I feel like silly even saying it because it's like, yeah, that's like 90% of people. But like Johnny Cash, awesome. Old country, bluegrass, awesome. Modern country, I cannot stomach it. And it's not even like, the lyrics or whatever or something. I just do not like the sound of it. It just gets me the wrong way. Like retro folk music or folk indie. I'm an indie guy. Like I like Portlandy hipster music and a lot of folk, Mumford and Sons. Fleet Foxes is like who I really gravitate towards. Sufjan Stevens, The Head and the Heart, all these indie folk artists are great. Numbers and Letters says, I watched Stalker because I was obsessed with Stalker the game. Never seen anything else. I'm a poser tourist. Dude, you should watch other Tarkovsky. Absolutely. He's orthodox. Like, he is an orthodox film director. Like, it's hard to pass that up. And I also would not read that book until you've watched at least his best films. He doesn't have that many. I think like 8 total. And Yvonne's Childhood wasn't that amazing. I mean, if you like him enough, you're gonna read a book. Maybe you should watch all 8 of them. But you should absolutely see Andrei Rublev. Like, that's his masterpiece. I mean, you might end up liking Stalker more, but Andrei Rublev is a must see. If you're at all an artsy person. Andrei Rublev, for the average normie, is not a good movie to watch. Like, they would just be like, what the heck is this movie about? But yeah, if you at all are a film buff, yeah, you consider yourself someone who appreciates film, Andrei Rublev is like a must-see. Yeah. Fudge Brownie says hi. Hello, Fudge Brownie. Isaiah says, LMAO, no, you guys weren't talking about me, but yeah, I'll be staying. I don't know. You go back and watch the stream. Like, I was talking about Turtle, telling our whole history, telling all the horrible things you've done to me. No, wait, maybe not. No, yeah, talking about how we've known each other a long time. Like, we're Orthodox Twitter veterans. So, yeah, Espresso says Stranger Things season 1 was fantastic. 2 was okay. I forget if I watched 3. Yeah, that it do be like that. The man likes turtles. Yes, but I only have one. Isaiah is a turtle connoisseur. Espresso says sea turtles are my fave. Yeah, I probably like sea turtles best. I don't am I not turtly enough for the turtle club? Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm such a millennial. Master of disguise. Oh, PTSD flashbacks. Yeah, I've always been someone who's like, I don't like stuffed animals that don't look like animals. Like I was never a teddy bear guy, because it's like I like that it looks like a real animal. I like it to look like a real turtle, a real bear. I don't like it to look like a cartoon character. So. Numbers and Letters says, remember Sequest? I've heard of it. I don't know that I remember it. Was it on like cable? Because I never had cable or satellite, so I never watched those kinds of shows. Because my dad hated television, so we had antennas. So PBS. I grew up on homeschooled watching PBS. Espresso legit have sea turtle things in my house. Numbers and Letters, but what's your opinion on TMNT? Like Ninja Turtles in general, or like a specific? I know that there's some specific Ninja Turtles content that's called TMNT. Ninja Turtles is great. I wasn't allowed to watch like the original '80s ones when I was a kid because it had like magic, Eastern magic or something in it. I wish I would have seen some when I was a kid. And then I watched probably everything that was on Fox Kids when they when it was in the late 90s, early 2000s, I think, and they went to like other dimensions with the dinosaurs and stuff. Like I was super into that. I barely remember it. I would actually, if I went back and watched anything, I would actually like to go back and watch through that series. Every once in a while I'll go watch like one of my old kids shows or whatever. I went and watched I've been on a Godzilla binge, by the way. I've been watching every single Godzilla movie in order because I didn't know which ones I hadn't seen before. It turned out I'd seen probably about 3/4 of every Godzilla movie ever made, but I went through and watched them all in order. And I even watched, not only did I watch the 1998 American Godzilla, which I kind of like. People hate that movie, and I get it's like a goof, it's kind of silly, but like I really like that movie, and I really like Zilla. That's kind of the official slang term for the 1998 Godzilla, the one with like the like bricky looking head. It's like really fast and stuff. I love that Godzilla, and then the movie, I enjoy it. I mean, it's cheesy, but I didn't hate it. It has moments that I laugh at and I like engaged by, but there's also a spin-off cartoon that came out when I was a kid, like the perfect time when I was like 10 years old, and they have like this Godzilla movie, which I loved Godzilla as a kid. I've been watching, for context, I've been watching Godzilla movies since I was like 5, watching the old Showa era Godzilla. But I went and watched like every single episode in order of the 1999 through 2000 2 seasons of the Godzilla cartoon, and it was actually kind of fun. I kind of enjoyed it. But yeah, how often I'm gonna go like watch old kids shows is not very often. But the 2000s Ninja Turtles, that might make the list. So I did go back and watch the 90s Fox Kids Spider-Man, like years ago. That was back when I was a stoner. I was like, oh, this seems like a good show to watch while I'm stoned, and I really enjoyed it. Anyways, yeah, Ninja Turtles is great. I mean, it's a classic for a reason. I just like good stories in general, like good adventures, whatever. Let's see. Okay, cool. If I go my usual time, we got about an hour left, so that's good. I don't know. Even I forgot about Sequest. Okay, that's fair. Turtle says, also, Elder Thaddeus is making moves. A guy asked to borrow the book. Lol, we'll give it to him since I can't lock in to read. Yeah, you need to get like Clockwork Orange, like the eyes held open and like forced to like see each word of Elder Thaddeus's text like forced in front of your eyeballs, so you have to like sit there with it and it sinks in. Like yeah, if I ever come down and visit, I'll be sure to like bolt you to a chair and duct tape your eyes open and make you read all of Elder Thaddeus's books. So I'm a bro like that. I'll help you out. I'm here for you, man. Numbers and Letters says specifically the mini TMNT toys that were the boy version of Polly Pocket. That I don't know about. I don't know if maybe I might have seen those when I was a kid, but no, that's oddly specific. Those are some oddly specific letters, Mr. Number and Letters. Fifth Element is a cool sci-fi movie. It's the only thing me and my dad both like. Yeah, it was I think I appreciated it more later. When I saw it, I was like a kid and just like, oh, movies. And then I watched it like shortly after that because I was like, oh, what was this? I didn't even remember this. This came out when I was like kind of young. And I watched it, I was like, what the heck was that? Like the weirdest sci-fi movie, like a guy with the weird hair and stuff. Like it's kind of obnoxious. And then years later I revisited it again. I was like, okay, when I go in knowing it's going to be like a weird, obnoxious sci-fi movie, I do appreciate it. You know, and I mean, it's people are missing out if they hear Lilo Dallas Multipass and they don't know what that's from. So I appreciate Fifth Element. It's not one of my favorites, but more obscure one I really liked was do you remember Soldier? The guy who's like a super soldier and he loses to like the higher levels of super soldier, and they basically like throw him in the trash and think he's dead, and he lands on this trash planet, and like there's people that that live on this trash planet because somehow they got abandoned there. It's like a whole society, and then the soldiers come for whatever reason to attack them, including the super soldier that beat him up. Of course, that's gotta have a good story arc. And so now he like is fighting with them and fights back, and so it's just like a good sci-fi action movie. We had that one on a VHS tape when I was really young, and it came out when I was young, so I like watched that like many times. Soldier was great. My like childhood favorite movie that I saw like too young and too early, because I had to be like 4 or 5. I had to be like 5 years old when I saw it, and it gave me the opening scene gave me nightmares. Is The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. Kind of obscure, but I would highly recommend it if someone likes like to go watch like underrated stylish film. The Shadow with Alec Baldwin from 1994 is I would say it's actually pretty good. And The Shadow is an old radio show. A lot of people know this, but it's what Batman is actually a ripoff of. Batman, the original Batman comic, was like a blatant ripoff of The Shadow. There's a guy on YouTube who goes through all of this. Even one of my clients, like told me all about this while we were doing a session one time, and I was like, really, I didn't know about it, and then I went and watched the video. He told me about it, and then I watched the video. But anyways, yeah, The Shadow was like the original, like what Batman is based off of, and so they made a movie of The Shadow in '94 with Alec Baldwin, and the style of it, the like retro, like almost like the Art Deco, like the Art Deco style of like the like 40s idea of science fiction, 50s idea of science fiction, like these sleek buildings and trains with ridges. Like it's a lot of the Fallout styles, Fallout games. Like it's got a lot of that. Like it's very much almost like Gotham City vibe because Batman is a ripoff of it. But it's really well done visuals. The opening scene has this like knife with a face and it like bites his hand. That's what gave me nightmares. And the real catch, the real draw, the real reasons it's stuck with me over the years, The Shadow, and why I would most reason I would recommend it is the music. I forget his name that does the music. He does tons of soundtracks. He's like, if you know soundtracks, you've heard the name. You probably know him. Jerry Goldsmith. Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith does a lot of like famous movie soundtracks, but one of those people that like, Hans Zimmer, Pirates of the Caribbean was big enough that people were like heard the name Hans Zimmer. But Jerry Goldsmith has done tons of soundtracks and like nobody remembers him, which is sad because he's very skilled at what he does. But the Shadow soundtrack is so good. It's really good. Like it's very catchy, very intense. There's also a song at the end of the movie called "The Theme from the Shadow" that's not like a soundtrack song. It's like a pop song from Taylor Dane, who is like a one-hit wonder. Well, I think she was a little more than that, but she's a one-hit wonder from the from the 80s mainly, and then she did this song for this 94 movie called Original Sin. And it's about how it's the chorus is, "I've been looking for original sin, one with the twist and a bit of a spin," which is a interesting take on that phrase, but it's a catchy song. Anyways, that movie, I don't know. I'm biased because it was like I saw it when I was 5 and was like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. But yeah, it was really good. So let's see. Turtle says, to be clear, that's noteworthy because this is Trinidad. Oh, because of asking you to borrow the book. Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, Fifth Element, Star Trek First Contact, Ace Ventura 2, Cable Guy. Funny enough, I watched Cable Guy for the first time like a year ago. Trying to remember why I even watched it, how it made it on my list, but yeah, and it was wild. It was interesting. I wasn't sure if I'd love it or hate it. I didn't hate it, that's for sure. I can't say I loved it, but it was very interesting. So, Nikolai Korea, brother, what's up? Good to see you, man. Just off on mega tangents here with some movie discussion. Does the Shadow use guns? Yes. Yeah, I think he has like, he might use different guns. I feel like I've seen him use a Tommy gun before, because he's from that era. Yeah, why do you ask? Turtle says, Thaddeus, we haven't had a religious discussion over Telegram in a while. I mean, I feel like we just had a discussion about trans stuff and specifically about orthodoxy, so I don't know what do you mean by a religious discussion? Do you mean like a spiritual discussion, or because we were just talking about like trans stuff and like weird orthodox stuff just like yesterday? Alec Baldwin loves guns. Okay. Very funny. I was like, why is he asking, does the Shadow use guns? Yeah, he does. He does, doesn't he? Maybe a little too much. Yeah, I mean, you're also Turtle. You're also welcome to ask stuff here too, just in case this is like a format that's conducive for you. Um, but yeah, Nikolai, I was gonna. I wanted to be. So I'm jumping around here. Nikolai, I wanted to get on that stream with Alex and Father Stephen and you that you were doing for a bit there. I don't know if you've done multiple, but I just was on one of them for a little while, and but yeah, I had to get going that night, so I was really bummed because I was like, dude, I like just to be on a stream and like meet Father Stephen Young would be absolutely cool. I wanna make a They Might Be Giants reference because he loves to make those and nobody gets them, and I wanna play him at his own game and see if he knows a specific reference. They have like 50,000 albums, so even if you're a big fan of theirs, you may not notice every reference, but it's a pretty famous song. Yeah. Dude, that's awesome to hear you and Alex get along. I'd love to connect with him more. He just like popped up on the scene, and I started watching his videos. I'm like, oh, this guy's a treasure. Him and Cleve Antiquity, as you can imagine, they're charitable. They're focused on like the actual intellectual arguments. They're not doing mudslinging. Like obviously, I'm fine with a little bit of like jokes and humor and banter here and there. Like I was mocking Sola GPT on Twitter a little bit, and then I complimented him very sincerely. Like yeah, the Twitter space needs people with thick skin who like when someone insults them, they're not gonna like lose their mind and they're not gonna engage in insults back. Like Christianity fundamentally is being held to a higher bar, and I see Alex and Cleve Ben doing that, and I'm really really excited to see more of their influence. Yeah, and I've watched some of your streams too, and I really like them. I feel like just getting at first part of me wants to see like the best content. Like I'm like, people need to, like, I don't like making videos that someone else has already made a phenomenal video on that topic. Like I made the noose one because I'm like, I've read some books on the noose and they were not clear enough, even though they were helpful to me. But I was like, I think I can make this more clear. And so I made my noose video, and it was very popular. People have done stuff on the toll houses. I felt like it just wasn't enough. I made my toll house video. It was very popular. I've done that with other videos that have not been popular. But I say that because at the same time, there's also the advantage of just having a lot of content out there, just having a lot of people streaming who, as long as they're like preaching the true Orthodox faith and good examples and whatever. And so, that's part of why I'm here. I'm not like, it says I've got 12 concurrent viewers. That's not a landslide or anything, but that's good enough for me. I don't know how many, how many people, spacing out reading your chat. I don't know how many people are usually on like one of your chats or whatever, but I think you've been doing it a little longer than I have now. So I just started like a month or half ago, but I think Alex and Ben have more patience than I do. Like, and I try and be like a Twitter nice guy, and I definitely will be like, I don't know if you saw Sola GPT being like, well, you're not gonna like my prompts, and I posted that meme that was the like billionaire defender, like the soy jack with the katana, who's like, you'll be no match for my prompts, because I got that vibe. So Vigo says, good evening, good to see, welcome to the chat. Nikolai says, my military tongue gets me in trouble sometimes. Yeah, I was just having a talk with my moderators on my Discord server, and we were talking about like the balance between being nice to people and having thick skin. And every person is different, like in what God convicts them towards. I very much believe that. And two, like, your average person in a group chat or whatever, or on a Discord server, is different than people in leadership. Like, we're held to a little higher bar. If we're going to be a teacher, if we're going to be a model in front of people, we have to be mindful. And it doesn't mean we can't say something that once in a while people find offensive. It's tough to know when. But we were talking about thick skin, and they're like, well, I kind of believe people should have thick skin. And I was like, oh, I agree too. Like, the goal of, like, one of the main tests and goals of like developing someone, especially a guy, and him being healthy, is that he has thick skin and can be blunt. And so, like, I, as like a nice guy of Twitter, like Orthodox Twitter, like, I love going to men's group and bantering and like having insult humor. I love having, I always say frenemies on Twitter, like people where it's like, yeah, we kind of like, I'm like, yeah, filthy papists submit to Rome, and like we're still good friends, and like I know that like our friendship isn't wounded, like that's a healthy craving for men. But I was also telling them, I'm like, look, you're not gonna get there by being blunt to them. If you get a guy who's insecure, his dad was like abusive to him, so he's very fragile, being blunt with him isn't how you get him to the place where you can be blunt with him. Being gentle is how you do that. But the goal absolutely should be to move him to a place where he's not gentle anymore. Actually, this is hey Octavian, good to see you. Alfred Vickers says if you like The Shadow, you should read the 300 plus novels. Oh, is that all? I thought there were more than that. I could probably get into it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Nikolai, you and I just like we're just gonna like critical think through stuff, and a lot of people like that. Like just someone who who has read enough, studied enough. We're not necessarily experts, but we know enough that we sit down and we critical think through something. And I've realized like people value that. Like just someone who's gonna critical think through it. Even some of the politics stuff I'm watching YouTube videos on right now. Like one person comes on and says this is what's happening. Another person I also like says they're not factoring this in. It's this. And then the third person comes along and goes, you guys are saying the other is wrong. Both of your views have grounds. Like, I don't know why you're saying, like, it's for sure yours and not the others. And I'm like, I like all three of those. Like, I'm glad I had all three of those. So there's this value to each of us coming in with different perspectives. Like, I like when someone comes along and is like, I'm going to focus on criticizing Gavin Ortland. And then another Orthodox guy comes along and is like, I'm going to focus on defending Gavin Ortland. And it's like, you watch both of those videos, you are much better equipped by a landslide than just watching one of them. So like, yeah, it's just there's a value to people just like listening to ideas being critiqued by pious Orthodox people, even if it's even better if our perspective is different. I think you and I agree most of the time. I know you're like, sometimes we disagree. It's like, yeah, most of the time we probably agree. Most of the time it's like slightly different strategy at the most. So let's see. Numbers and Letters says, ooh, before I forget, you haven't heard of Covenant. Try listening to Bullet. It's got a cool video on YouTube. They're like brooding European electronica. Yeah, send me a chat on whatever. If we're connected on any social media, send me like a link because I'll forget. Like on Discord or something, or Twitter or my contact me page if you don't have access to me on social media. Let's see. Oh, there was something else I was going to say, and I'm a little distracted. Between 30 and 100. Nice. Yeah. I've usually got 10. It says I have 17 right now. This is a higher number for me. And when the one time Alex and Cleve rated, I got over 30, so I set a record there. But I think if I keep it up, I God willing, I might get closer to the numbers that you have. So, and I want to analyze some debates. I'm also, my current project I'm working on is I'm editing a stream I did a year ago on Twitter, and I think I had 200 views on that. Just because my Twitter is so big, I got like 200 people watching. And it was the only time I did a stream until I did these ones starting a month and a half ago. But it was on like brainwashing, conditioning, and what that teaches us about like orthodoxy and evangelism, and that's why it's actually true, even though it's like brainwashing us. But everything brainwashes us when you really understand what conditioning and brainwashing is. So it's better to know you're being brainwashed rather than like you drive around and you see billboards and you're like, oh, billboards, and you're like, at least Orthodoxy, it's like obvious. Like we all say the creed together. We are chanting the creed, so it is washed into our brains. It's like, that's what's happening. But when you're like, oh, billboard, 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 billboard. I'm a free person who thinks for myself. But why am I buying Old Spice? Like, anyways, yeah, I'm editing this stream, and I'm gonna upload it as like a regular one of my lectures, because I think it was really good. I haven't actually watched it since I did the stream, so it might be bad, but I'm just going through and editing it, and then if I hate it at the end, it's been good so far. I think it'll turn out well. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, people were harsher. I think the part of the problem was there wasn't enough like priests online. Now we have a lot more priests, and we have people talking about it. Like Father Paul talks, my priest talks about how you need to behave yourself online and not have like internet version of road rage. Father Turbo Qualls talks about it. Like a lot, I think a lot of people are being like catechized with catechists having in mind the like way the demons use social media. So sure, other people did bad things, but I don't know if we should do bad things personally, no matter how bad things other people do. But the question is what's bad or not. So I think as much as people talk harsh about Ortho Bros, I think you're right though that we're getting like better as like an online Orthodox culture. But yeah, it's like people really go Pharisee mode, and I don't mean that. It sounds really insulting. I don't want to mean insulting, but they're like, we're supposed to be nice. I could be mean. And it's like, you're talking about like the letter of the law is what matters. Like the only thing you should be thinking about is God okay with this? And you should be actively asking him that. You, the royal you, not you, Nikolai, but anybody, like we should be actively asking him that. And two, what effect does it have on the person in front of me? If it discourages them from orthodoxy, it doesn't matter mean or nice or whatever. Also, sometimes there are those times where you're not harsh to someone and it's sinful, and the saints talk about that. They're the exception rather than the rule, but they're there, where you should have deterred someone from something and been a little blunt with them and you weren't, and the Holy Spirit convicted you. So but yeah, it's just what weirds me out is not that people are like make mean jokes or stuff, which I do, but that people like try to treat it like it's a letter of the law kind of thing. And it's like, I don't know, like I'm, and it is my personality. I know that it's not just like, oh, this is how it should be done. But it's like, I want to ask some people who are online, some Orthodox people online, be like, you're arguing with this person, you're calling them names. Like, are you thinking about like your goal? Like, what are you trying to do? Well, I'm allowed to, like this saint was much harsher. And it's like, yeah. And they prayed about it out the wazoo and knew what they were doing. Like, Are you that confident that you know that this is going to have a good effect? Like, the saints cautious us. Saint Seraphim of Sarov says what I would never say. He says, you can never be too kind. Shun to even appear harsh. So, yeah. Like, I always say Orthodoxy is biased towards that, even though I don't say that, even though Saint Seraphim of Sarov said it. But let's see here. I'm a little behind on the chat. Turtle says, thoughts on an Orthodox version of street beefs for charity, like a boxing card between Orthodox Twitter users who are beefing with each other. I don't know what street beefs is. I assume that's like people on the street fighting each other, like physically, because they have some kind of conflict. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, next time one of the YouTubers wants to come after me, I think this would be more productive than them blocking. Trying not to slander, anyways, I think if they street beef me and they got to punch me in the face, like we'd probably be over it versus like all the drama that always has to happen behind the like anonymity of Twitter. So that's a good way to, yeah, anyways. I love Soulful Leaf. Actually, he messaged me recently and was like, hey dude, Soulful Leaf's great. I like the only thing I could say bad about Soulful Leaf, I mean maybe he'd agree with me, is like I feel like he's too attached to the Western Right thing. And I'm not saying Western Right is wrong, and I'm saying it's wrong for him to care about it. Nothing like that. But any one of us, not him, any one of us who some issue we're gonna like attack people over and be really vicious and be like calling them names and like saying personal attacks. That's an example that's a passion that we need to get away from. If it's Orthodox theology, if it's like we're debating, we're completely Orthodox, we're completely right, and it's like someone is like, or universalism. I mean, I think universalism is silly to anyone who really actually knows Orthodoxy. But like if you're like attacking someone because they're universalists, like, oh my gosh, those Origin people, and it's like, I'm all for criticism. I love criticism, actually. I'm like, criticize me. Let's all stop having the little baby gloves on, like, and criticize each other. Absolutely. But yes, Turtle, I am far behind in the chat. I always am. So, yeah, like I'm all for criticism, but like the thing is I'm not about criticism, I'm about effectiveness. I want people and things to be better. That's my only agenda. I don't see why there'd be any other agenda but that. So whatever it takes to be effective, then let's do that. And we're supposed to suffer for that. That's what makes a Christian. Not that you want to improve the world. Now you're like a utopian. Now you're a liberal, a socialist, a Catholic, whatever. You want to improve the world by you suffering, even if you're in the right. That's what makes a Christian. That's what makes someone like Christ. You're not like Christ until you're suffering when you don't owe it for other people. You're suffering to, like, someone's yelling at you and you didn't do anything to them, and you're sitting there instead of yelling back going, Lord, how do I help this person? That's Christianity. That's what makes you a Christian. So it should be like that. But yeah, I like Soulful Leaf, and I think the only times like he's gotten a little feisty has been when it's like, you know, that thing that is like a little tiny bit of a sacred cow. So anyways, but I think he's a great guy. Like, I really like him, and I've like wanted to be his friends and not have conflicts with him. I don't dislike him. I've never attacked him. Like, what I just said is probably the harshest thing I've ever said about him. And it's like I would say that we all have those things. We all have those like sacred cows that we're going to get upset about. So it's like nothing personal. And I hope if he heard this, he wouldn't take it that way. But Turtle, you might be able to beat me. If you take some other scrawny little nerd, I'm actually probably going to beat them because my family lineage is unnaturally strong. So like my dad is like, he looks like me. He has actual muscles. They look like not huge. He's not like a burly guy, but he has muscles you can see, unlike anyways. But the dude is a tank. My dad does general contracting for a living, combined with the naturally strong latent genetics. I've seen like big bulky Marines go up and shake my dad's hand, and they gotta show their men and squeeze. And so I see them like, and look at my little dad, like he's small like me, and I see my dad just sit there, and I see the Marine. And I've seen a guy with literally go up and try and like out macho my dad, and I've seen a bead of sweat form. My dad's hands are like hammers. They're not like mine. Unfortunately, I have my mother's hands. But yeah, my dad's a tank. He's like a tiny little tank. And so yeah, you take some other scrawny little nerd, I'm gonna win because I have the latent genetics. I'm like Lord Frieza from Dragon Ball Z, where I imagine how powerful I'd be if I actually trained. I'm already pretty powerful. Yeah, basically that. So let's see. Slender Servant says, I got to hear Father Josiah talk at my parish this past weekend. That was such a good mix of being blunt, loving, and not being afraid of being oneself. Yeah, Father Josiah is very interesting. I love Father Josiah, by the way. Like, I mean, I'm just going to say that about everyone because there's no reason not to, but I genuinely mean it. I'm a huge fan of Father Josiah. My last priest in Spokane, Washington is like one of his best friends. They're very close. And I got to meet him one time at an event, and he was really harsh and blunt to the group of young adults. It was good. But I could tell some people were kind of like a little dejected. Yeah, I think so. I think part of what happened is I think Father Josiah converted, and he saw a lot of young men needing masculinity in the church, and I think he doubled down on that, and he started making YouTube videos, and he started guiding people, and he was like, there's a lot of young men that need a father figure, a priest figure who's gonna lay down some masculinity on them and help them become men. However, what I've noticed and I was like, I love this content, but I can tell it's gonna like bother some people, and it did. And people in his comments were like constantly blackpilled. And then I noticed him pick up on that and make a pastoral shift and realize that the young men coming into his parish are different than the young men who are on the internet and watching his videos. and he started making videos about not beating yourself up, not being hard on yourself. And he started, and this is the job of a priest, is to be pastoral. Whatever the needs are of the people is what I do. Again, this is why it's such a problem to say, like, we always should be nice, we always should be blunt with, and just tell it like it is. Like, neither of these is orthodox. This is legalistic Phariseeism, either one. Ivan Ilyin, in his book On Resistance to Evil by Force, he's like, if anyone tells you everyone needs to be violent or everyone needs to be a pacifist, you cannot trust them. They don't even know the basic spiritual life if they say stuff like that. It's why Catholic just war theory doesn't work. You can't just make this model. Like, the orthodox answer to not only war but everything is, who could know what is right and wrong except the Lord? The law is a good starting place. The rubrics of the church are a good starting place. The canons are a good starting place. But ultimately, we have to constantly be talking to the Lord and ask him, Lord, what's your will? Christ models this. Father, what's your will? He does the will of the Father. This is our job, is to constantly tap into the will of the Father. And all of the laws and rules are helpful starting places. But there's so many examples of exceptions, even in the scriptures. People who lie and God rewards them, like Rahab the prostitute and Pharaoh's midwives. David eats the showbread that's only for priests, and God, like, has favor towards him. So we can't be legalistic about this stuff. But yeah, Father Josiah just is like it's very clear he does whatever's pastorally best, and like that's incredible. So anyways, yeah, I love Father Josiah, but you know, he's still gonna always be that like slightly blunt guy, and I like it. There's like one video of him that goes around that I really wish wasn't on the internet. I think it was good for the people he said it to. Specific, just to be clear about what it is, I think that would be less scandalous than me being vague about it. But someone at a conference asked him, he's like, what if someone has been like hurt by the priesthood and hurt by a priest, and you know they have a lot of pain from that, and he said something along the lines of, well, they need to get over it and stop being a complainer. And I was like, whoa, like. I have to count. My coaching is sometimes for people who've been hurt by priests. Now, I'd say my experience is a very low incidence rate in Orthodoxy of like priests that are not good, but they're out there. And I've unfortunately had to work with some people who've been hurt by them. And this is not whiners. I know what whiners look like. These are not whiners. These are people who are like genuinely hurt. Yeah, it's very rare. It's not like some of the problems in other groups, but yeah, I was like, man, that. And I've had people who said, like, do you listen to Father Josiah? And they send me that exact clip, and I don't blame them. But it's very possible that he knew exactly who that was in the audience and was saying it for them, and that's appropriate at a parish. That's appropriate for a priest to do at a parish. And so, but yeah, someone videoed it and uploaded it to the internet, and but anyways, I ultimately can't judge, but I wish that video just wasn't on the internet, regardless of if that maybe was a good pastoral decision. So Octavian says, Vigo's been in the chats for the past 14 hours. So that's a confession that you've been in the chats for the past 14 hours, Octavian. I gotcha. Okay. Nikolai says, better to have tons of angles. Yes. Hands, feet, and eyes. I volunteer as feet. Classic humble Thaddeus at it again. I agree 99%. I think that's fair. Okay, I guess we don't disagree at all at how much we agree. JB Peltier, is that how you say your name? Orthonetia is a small world. Yes, forgive me if Nikolai, yes. Yes, let's if you're still here, yeah, why don't you come on the chat? I think I did set it up. After Alex offered to be on, I think I did kind of, yeah, I have this dialogue set up with Discord. So are we Discord friends, or how do you do it? I don't have StreamYard or Streamlabs. I use OBS, but if you call me on Telegram or Discord is what I have set up. So if you call me on Discord, let me try and get through these chats. But yeah, message me in the chat the way you want to connect. Let's see. Turtle says Soulful versus Nikolai match. It's on. I'm betting money on both sides because I'm a nice guy. I've seen an Orthodox billboard. Me too. Gomez says, cool. Good to see you, Gomez. Good God Father's here. Hey, man. Good to see you. Father Ron is the GOAT. JB Peltier says, before I drove to the store, I didn't want to refinance my mortgage and visit a strip club. Funny. Oh, well. It do be like that. It do be like that. JT Gamer says, ready to hear about the book. Yeah, I apologize. We haven't got there yet. We might not get there tonight because I think Nikolai is going to come on. Proverbs 10 has all the clues. Let's see. I don't remember Proverbs 10. Good God, Father, you might have to remind me. Very fair. Remember, kindness does not equal niceness. Yes, niceness is a passion, and kindness is what comes out when niceness is crucified and purified in Christ. That's the simple version. I have one of my earlier streams. I need to clip it out. I need to start a clips channel. I think that's what I need to do because I do all these streams, answer lots of questions. There's potential for great clips, and I'm just lazy. Maybe I need to get to someone to make a clips channel for me, and they can just keep a cut of the profits or whatever. That's assuming to make any money. But yeah, I did like a whole 30-minute talk in one of my streams about people pleasing as a passion, how to address it spiritually, understanding it more deeply, etc. Can you send me an Amazon link to this book? JT Gamer, I would just Google it. Search Our Thoughts Determine Our Lives, Amazon, and it's going to be the first result. It's quicker than me having to search it for you and then sending you the link. So, let's see. Espresso says, Thad's all for criticism. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, you might have misunderstood me there. Whoa. I'm about to end this man's whole career. Yes. Okay. Let's see. JB Peltier, people should read some monastic literature. We're soft. Yeah, I mean, should people have thick skin? Absolutely. People also shouldn't sin. But if you're just like, stop sinning, like you're going to destroy your spiritual life. Like your goal should be not to sin. But yeah, it needs to be... the whole point of the incarnation is that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. And that's how we help other people. We die for them. If they don't have thick skin, if they are soft, we don't punch them to try and make them hardened. We encourage them to come to spiritual warfare with us. We set the example. And so, like, yeah, like it's a, like in the same way that some people are weak, it's weak of us to very cheaply expect them to just become strong. Just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which, by the way, is an expression that means something is impossible. And we've ironically twisted it into doing making it like, oh, it should be easy to do. And it's like, it's literally an expression meaning it's possible. Anyways, yeah, we just like the job, if we actually want to make a difference, not just like criticize people for being soft. And sorry, I don't want to go hard on you, but I mean, you're talking about like how people are soft. So I assume you're able to just, take it. If you're going to say people should be able to take a punch to the face, like, then, I'm sure you'll be fine with a punch to the face. So maybe I shouldn't go so easy, but, yeah, I think that there's a high risk that, just as much as softness isn't obedience to God. Sure. Like not being soft with people can also just as much be a disobedience. Plus, when we claim to know better, that's just one of the lessons I've had to learn in my 10 years of orthodoxy is when we claim to know better, the bar is going to be higher for us. So if it turns out we're doing the same thing as someone else and they don't know better and we claim we do, we're going to be more in trouble with God than they are. Like I think a lot of the soft people, God's going to be like, I understand why you're soft. And then we were judging them for it. But anyways, I know like some people really do just need to grow thick skin. That is also a thing. Oh, sweet. Nikolai's back in the server. He was like my original mod. You probably actually got kicked out when the server got deleted, and then we made a new one. So let's see. I'm almost caught up on the chat, Nikolai, and then I'm going to have you call in. I can barely keep up with all this edifying Orthodox content. Well, it's even harder when you're watching my stupid content. Why are you doing that? No, good to have you trying to keep up with mine. Good to have you here. So it is a good problem to have. Yeah, you said it. Like, people at our church are like, it's so full. We have like hundreds of people. I don't know how many. I don't know how to count it, but we're like wall-to-wall people in our church. We have 150 catechumens, and everyone, all of us, I say it all the time, like, it's the best problem to have. If we're gonna have any problem, I'm thankful it's this one. So, yeah, good God Father, there's enough Orthodox content to cover most of daylight. Yeah, I got to watch Good God Father's stream about why he's becoming Orthodox. From different Protestant worlds. So very, very cool story. Definitely check out his stuff. Let's see. Send me the Discord link. My Discord had to get nuked. Oh, you got nuked. Okay, our server also got nuked. So yeah, it was a team effort here. Let's see. Father Ron has been taking a sort of sola scriptura approach to his channel, uncovering all the Orthodox gold in the scriptures, and it's very rich with material. Yeah, I've heard of Father Ron. I don't know him, but let's see. Oh man, if Nikolai and I start talking, I won't be able to keep up as much on the chat. I'm gonna be so sad here. I like keeping up with the chat. This is like I think there's a little bit of dopamine receptors getting like stimulated by having all these people to talk to. Let's see. Having thick skin and a soft heart is better than having soft skin and a hard heart. Yeah, absolutely. I meant that more in that people shouldn't linger on their priest hurting their feelings or whatever. Being hurt is one thing. Fixating on it, perhaps even to the point of judgment, is another. Yeah, that's true. But my push, you're totally right. My pushback would be that you're not going to get, if they are bitter and black-pilled, you're not going to get them there without showing them grace first. Like you do have to have some mercy on them, be gentle, validate them. Because a lot of people are worried that, and this is the demons doing this, but we have to have it say something different than the demons. A lot of how demons tempt people is they say your feelings aren't valid. Like if you thank God for this pain that happened to you, your feelings are invalidated. And so we start by making it. I mean, this is my default. This is not a rule or law, but the safe default is validate the person's pain. Like, well, what did the priest do to you? That's if someone tells me a priest hurt them, I always try and assume the best, even though I know they might be whining or complaining. I'll say, hey, whoa, what happened? And then when they tell it to me, then I play charitable skeptic where I go, ooh, either I say like, oh, that is hard, or I might ask, oh, he didn't say that because of like this or this. I know priests say that sometimes, and it's not like an insult or anything. And I kind of play skeptic a bit while being charitable, and I push harder and harder and harder. But eventually, after validating a bit, then that's when I get a little blunt. Because I don't, like, you can have someone who you could have helped have thick skin, but you were blunt with them. So anyways, yeah, it is, like, when people do linger on the feelings of like, bitterness or whatever, that's totally not good. That's a very evil and demonic thing. But the problem is like, there's a lot of people that's not the case, and people will assume that. And it's like, I know some people where it was bitter, and if you want to move them away from that, the truth is if a priest was hard on someone, the goal I would have in my coaching is for them to give glory to God for that, to be actually thankful that it happened to them. But that's not something you can fast forward to. That starts with validation, and then that starts with like, validation, compassion, empathy, and then moving to getting them to actually ask the question, why did God let this happen? And that's not that simple. I don't even ask it that simple, but you get that. And then they start to realize, oh, you lead them through, how does God work through pain? And then eventually the goal is to get them to the point where they actually thank God that the thing happened to them. Because the goal is to get them to see God in everything. So that's why bitterness is so demonic. But you won't get it there like any other way than validating them. Even if, no matter how wrong or right they are, there has to start with validation. There has to be lowering, incarnating at the level they're at, and then seeing if they'll walk up with you. And they might not. They might be like the rich young ruler, and once you go down to their level and they go away sad. But you still have to start with going down to their level. And some of the people, you're going to find out that that's all they needed. All they needed was someone to just show them some mercy, hear them out. They weren't that bitter. But yeah, it's hard to tell what's what. So, okay, I'm catching up on the chat here before I get Nikolai on. Sorry for making you wait, man. Monkey Micah says, Orthodoxy doesn't get easier. I don't know how long you've been Orthodox, and maybe you could beg to differ here. I want to comment on this because I think this is important. My experience is that God gives you more peace and strength. The outward stuff doesn't get easier, but the more you thank God for everything, and the saints talk about this, the more he shows up in everything. So it's like we like the prosperity gospel thinks that pain will go away. And then, like the Protestants, some of the Protestants I grew up with were like, you kind of just have to suffer until you die. You paid the deal, you try and be sanctified, but you just suffer until you die. They wouldn't say it like that, but that's pretty much what it was. Orthodoxy, we teach that the suffering might even increase. However, there's a third thing, not happy and sad. There's a third thing, which is the peace beyond understanding that grows. And as it grows, your suffering doesn't bother you as much, because you see such fruits growing out of it. And people need to know this. Like people, I really don't like when people will be like, yeah, someone's like, oh, it's really hard while being a catechumen. Like, well, it's hard being Orthodox too. It's like, geez, man, you are tempting. Like you really think that's gonna help them? Like you really think they're gonna push through their faith when you're telling them, yeah, it's gonna suck for the rest of your life? Jeez, like this is one of those times where I'm gonna be a little Monkey Mike. I don't want this to be like on you specifically, but like this is a time where I'll be a little harsh. Don't say that to people. Don't tempt them away from the faith. That's not true. Like that is, God comes to you more deeply if you're developing the Orthodox phronema, if you're responding in the Orthodox way to your suffering. If you don't do that, you do start to grumble and get really depressed, absolutely. But like if you respond how the saints say, if you respond how St. Paisios, St. Porphyrios, Elder Thaddeus, St. John Chrysostom, Prophet Job in the Old Testament right here, like all of these saints say, talk about rejoicing in suffering. St. Paul says this, glory to God in all things, doing that in the middle of suffering and understanding what God is doing to your heart. There is some kind of peace that comes in that even if someone is stabbing you with swords and roasting you on a grill, the grace of God is so incredible that it's like you can bear it. It's not like you don't suffer, you don't have pain, but something else is happening that's so divine that we've never experienced. And that takes time. That's like the grace of God that over years grows. But we have to thank God in pain in order to, as I say on this stream all the time, God brings the crowbar of suffering to our hearts. And we go, ow, 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 and we push back against it. Like, don't pry that. What God tells us to do is go, help me. Help me crack the heart open so more of myself and my love can go inside. More of the sacraments can be received. And as that happens, the intimacy with Christ deepens and the joy deepens. The saints don't say that their lives are the same as they were, before, like earlier. They change, they transform. The love of God increases and the joy increases. So they see more sin, but they're also less discouraged by it, as paradoxical as that sounds. So Orthodoxy doesn't get easy, that's for sure. But if we're living it with the Orthodox phronema, the grace increases and the peace increases. So I just felt that was an important one to respond to. Let's see. Okay, apologies if anyone really wants me to respond to their questions or comments. Just post them in the chat. Oh, yes, Espresso. I want to play test somebody's new game. Send me your game. That's how our server got destroyed. One of my friends' accounts got compromised, and I thought it was them offering for me to play a game. And that's how our server got destroyed, and we had to make a new one. So now it's a meme that everyone uses to harass me, and I'm such a softie, I can't handle it. Thaddeus, Patrick, and Yahoo? Oh, get out of here. Turtles banned. Ban this guy. Get this guy out of here. Jeez. Dude's accusing me of arming Hamas. Oh, yeah, Espresso's giving the lore. Yeah, I don't even need to explain it. Okay, cool. Yes. Jonathan Hill is here to talk about the Phronema. Oh, no, I'm mispronouncing words to be funny, but then he's dropping the real hours here. When people slander you, God is handing you heaven. If we do not respond in anger, we can simply enter in. Oof. Dude. Yeah, that's good. Glory to God. Yeah, I'll think about it, man. I'll think about it. Yeah, Good God Father says there's a difference between counting the cost and just being an obstruction to salvation. Yeah, spot on. Jesus said, "Woe to the Pharisees for shutting others out of the kingdom." Yeah, yeah. I mean, what does Romans tell us? This is like the 101 of therapy or helping people. And then I'm gonna have Nikolai on because we're caught up on the chat. Weep with those who are weeping, rejoice with those who are rejoicing. Where does it say test to see if they're actually, if they're whiners or if they're bitter or they're complainers or they have a bad motive? It doesn't. It doesn't. And know that God gives the same to you. That's why you're commanded to give it to someone else. If you're hurting, God empathizes with you and has compassion. There's no time you're in pain that he's not in pain with you. He's a father watching his children suffer. Even if you did it out of your own sin and stupidity, no, it's oh yeah, good question, Turtle. How much longer is the stream going? I said 20 minutes. If we might go longer because I want Nikolai to get to be on for a little bit. First Calvin 5:38. Yeah. Yeah, no, if you're weeping, God weeps with you, and if you have joy, God has joy. Yeah, correct. The stream has no end. Yeah, I think my record was over 4 hours because that was when Ben is Cleve and Alex came in. So I'm so thankful to have like my stream account, like my streaming number tripled of viewers. Anyways, yeah, I'll just say that before I get Nikolai on here. I see he's in my voice chat. But God weeps with you. Whenever you weep, we can give that to other people. We can, after that, we can do, questioning things, prodding a little bit, see if we can get someone to critical think, maybe be a little blunt. That's usually how I get blunt at some point when I'm trying to help people. But I always start with compassion, see how much I can validate them. And then if after that, I think Alex and Ben are a godsend to our Orthodox spaces. But yeah, after I have grace for people, or try to, then I push them a little bit. And if that's not working, I'm like, look, I've been compassionate. I've totally validated everything you've said as much as I can. I've listened, all this stuff. I've gently offered small steps that you can do, and you're still whining and complaining and making excuses. And then that's when I start to go down the road of like, well, look, like if you don't want to change, like I don't know how God can help you. Like he through the saints, the saints offer us these helps. Like, do you want to be well? Christ asked that. Do you want to be well? There is a time to like be a little blunt like that, and I will do that. But it comes after weep with those who are weeping. That is always the first thing. Almost always. Not gonna be pharisaical and legalistic. So, anyways, let's see if I can figure out how to get Nikolai in here. Dialogue. There we go. Oh, we got furries on the screen. Nice. Thanks, Starry. Oh,
hey,
we got.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. You are. Let's see. Hey, everyone in the chat, can you hear?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I hear you just fine. Now what I'm wondering is if people on the stream can hear you, because I'm not seeing the volume go up when you talk. Do you want to talk and test it? Let me look right here.
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're telling me you can hear me,
I'm not
but...
hearing you through Discord for some reason.
Oh, you're just hearing me on the stream?
That's weird. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not hearing you
What about now?
on Discord for some reason.
Can you hear me out now?
Like your mic isn't even lighting up.
It's probably because... Oh, I know you're probably only going to hear this on the stream, but I can hear you live in Discord. It's probably because my mic is being used by OBS Studio right now. But I try...
I do see it now.
Okay. I switched... So what I did is I set Discord to my webcam mic, and then the server is on my streaming mic right now. So yeah, so I'm going to turn my camera back on. Also, we can do this. I don't know if Starry's someone I know and just joined our server, but I don't know if she's wanting to be on my live stream. But we could always do a call privately too.
I don't care either way, whichever one works for you.
Cool. I'll just call you because I
Cool.
don't think she was trying to be on my live stream. Let's see here. Okay, let's get this going. Who knows what secrets people are seeing? All my emulator channels. Let's see here. Okay, people said they can hear Nikolai. That's good. Yeah, he might be coming through. Geez, I might have to figure out how to hook headphones up to this desktop.
Does that work?
Yeah, but people are saying it's echoey, and I gotta figure out how to hook up headphones to this computer real quick.
No problem.
Let's see, and I'm gonna have my camera on just so it's on the stream. Oh, and I have to turn it off on here? What about OBS virtual camera? Nope. Let's see. Sorry, everybody, figuring this out. Yeah, the problem is OBS is using my camera, so how do I make it not do that? No, that doesn't turn it off completely. Let's see. Okay, we'll get this going another way. Let's see. We'll put the live editing OBS Studio while we're there we go. We're just going to do this. We're going to have the OBS camera, and then separate we'll have Discord over here. Like that. There we go. Boom. Okay. This works. This is a successful streaming setup here. Okay, and then lastly, I need my headphones here. Okay, last time I tried to plug these in, the computer didn't even register them, which is really dumb. But hopefully it works this time. Okay, nope, not coming through my headphones. Let's see. Yes, yeah, it's down below. Nope, that sound input isn't working. I can't hear anything at all now. What about high definition audio device? Yeah, I've got my... Oh, nope. Nothing. Now I can't hear anything. Let's see. What if I plug this in the back? Oh, that's a horrible noise. What is that? Okay.
It's always one thing or another technology, right?
Yeah. Jeez, I'm wondering if I switch the microphones. What if I... Nah, it's going to feed back for them no matter what.
Yeah, typically you just have to choose one, unfortunately.
Yeah. I might... Let's see. Maybe I can pull my webcam with the microphone a little away from my speaker. Like that.
That That probably could work too, yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then you just turn down the sensitivity a bit. I'm not getting any echo anymore on your stream because I have it on.
Okay, good. That might have worked then. Yeah,
Right.
guys in the chat, if you still hear an echo from him, that's annoying. If there's a not annoying one, we might just leave it for now. But yeah. Let's see.
Awesome.
Yeah, how's it going, man? Good to...
Oh, it's, you know, it's going. It's what time is it here? It's like 1 o'clock here, p.m.
Nice.
And I just found a ex-Orthodox Reddit post that I am strongly suspicious is about me in part.
Oh, no.
It's about a Korean Orthodox person saying his hyperdox Ephraimite EO experience in Korea. The guy speaks way too good of English for me to be confident that this is actually a Korean parishioner, but who knows, could be. And they mention one parishioner openly promotes theocracy and absolute monarchy on X, which is totally my shtick. So
It's over.
Oh, that's probably me. It is probably me, honestly. And then in the Reddit post, they claim that they ban people from engaging with online Orthodox related activity, which isn't true because I've talked to my priest and my bishop about my stuff all the time. They have no problem with me doing stuff on the internet. Very weird. A lot of claims there. He knows he's familiar enough with it to actually be able to say that like he's probably attended a few times, but it's weird because most of his experience has been literal total opposite experience that I've ever had. So
Yeah, and the idea of like I can imagine someone being like, this guy's a little too monarchy, theocracy, whatever. But like being that uppity that you have to go write a Reddit post about it is a bit much.
yeah, it's not just a short Reddit post. This is like a mini essay that you would write in high school. Like this guy wrote like 10 paragraphs of just complaining about. He says that they have a problem that this parish or this diocese under the Russian Orthodox Church recommends Orthodox ethos, is fans of Elder Ephraim and Saint Paisios, who are I can actually confirm that those are very highly regarded saints. Well, Elder Ephraim obviously isn't formally a saint yet, but they're highly recommended people for spiritual formation by our monastics, because all of the clergy in our diocese are monastic. All of them. So. I think the problem they have is that, because based on my reading of this, it just sounds like I don't like the politics. They talk about politics too much at coffee hour. It's like, well, coffee hour is just to chill and relax and talk with people. Like you can talk about whatever you want. And then he complains that all the Korean converts talk to the Korean deacon, but the thing is, the Korean deacon is the catechist, so he's catechizing people. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems like really petty complaints. And at the end of the day, there's people that he goes and attacks Jay Dyer in the post, which is weird. Like, Korean Orthodox don't know much about him, So this sounds like somebody who's very online. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like if you're gonna talk the Ortho Bros and Jay Dyer, none of whom come up into day-to-day conversation in our parish. There's probably you have a weird obsession, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Your definition should be the parish. Like, YouTube shouldn't be how you measure orthodoxy.
Yeah.
It's not like it's irrelevant, but yeah, it shouldn't be. It doesn't. I was talking about this earlier on the stream. If you if you're gonna get scandalized like by a bishop or a YouTuber, it's like, how would you have survived back when like most of the world was Arians, or like when the Patriarch of Constantinople was Nestorius, or when Rome went into schism? Like are you that stuff was a way bigger problem than like a YouTuber sometimes isn't very nice.
Well, he finishes off saying the deacon was really mean because the deacon is conservative. which is like, yeah, of course, a monastic deacon is going to be a conservative in terms of, even politically, he's going to lean much more conservative. He's complaining in the post here. I'm just reading it because I find it amusing. He says, and I know the deacon. It's Father Deacon Nectarios, and he's currently going to seminary in Moscow so that he can become a full-time priest at our diocese because we're growing. And he says he once said Catholics were dynamic. It's like, I mean, yeah, that's. You'll find some people saying that in the Orthodox Church. I'm not saying, and he says specifically because of their ecumenical tendencies, you know. So it's like, which sounds pretty much. I mean, it sounds very familiar to Father Nectarios, but Father Deacon Nectarios, but I don't know. Yeah, I always find it so amusing to me.
Yeah.
That people jump into Orthodoxy and are shocked to
That
experience.
it's Orthodox.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
this person's attracted
Nikolai,
to-
if you weren't such a hateful bigot, let's be real, if you weren't such a hateful bigot, you would know that any good monastic would be a feminist. Obviously.
Oh yeah, so true. They're gonna they are all about those deaconesses and priestesses coming into the church. They're the biggest promoters of that stuff, right?
Yeah, patriarchy would get smashed, and all the one-night stands would
true.
get smashed, and everyone would be smashed at every... Well, that actually happens in the Orthodox Church. That's mean, right? But
Yeah.
outside of that, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't know. Me and you have discussed this before in the past. Like, the whole niceness thing, I think it's always a balance. Like, you have to assess the person that you're talking to. Like, if it's an online polemicist person, I'm going to be much more harsh on them. Because they're an online polemicist, and their goal is to dissuade people from orthodoxy. So, I'm going to be harsher with them. If they're good faith with me, I'll be good faith back to them. But if they start doing the usual gotchas and they try and do that smarmy thing where they're kind of like giddy to try and get a like clip on you, it's like, I'm not gonna treat you nicely. It's like, I'm gonna treat you exactly how you deserve to be treated, right?
Yeah.
That's my position, you know what I mean? And I think there's a big difference. This is why I really appreciate Cleve, because I think he finds a really good balance on pushing and also being pastoral. But I think that comes from his experience being an evangelical pastor, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they get sometimes for a liar, and it's not that they're necessarily lying, but it's like the same psychological phenomenon. It's called, have you heard the term duper's delight?
It sounds familiar. I don't remember what it's about, though.
Sometimes
I have heard it.
when you watch videos of people who are lying, a lot of times they'll like unnaturally smile. Like if they committed a crime and they're saying, like they killed somebody and they're saying they didn't, and they'll
Okay, I
like...
see what you're saying.
Yeah, and you can, there's like hundreds of documented video, like thousands. You can go on YouTube and search Duper's Delight. One of my favorite YouTube channels is Deception Detective, and it's so weird. Once you see it, you'll catch it. You'll catch people like saying something sad is happening, and then when the audience or whoever's watching believes them, they like smile and they can't stop because they like yeah, it's like a rush for them. But it's the same rush, even though it's not necessarily lying. It's like that rush from like, oh, I gotcha, haha, like, and I mean, I get it when Sola GPT said that, like, those ridiculous things like a couple days ago. I was like, oops, like I got a little bit of a rush. I'm a ENTP, but yeah, I think the key thing isn't even not getting a little rush, but it's, you know, kind of like you said, it's like, you know, being mindful of like what you're doing. You know, I have to pause and be like, Lord, is this actually good? I'm excited. This is a rush. And that was why I even like sent that compliment to Sola GPT. I mean, I meant it completely. I wasn't gonna lie, but I was like, you know, I'm going hard on this guy. I'm like mocking him and dragging him through the mud. So I'm gonna send him, like, I realize he hasn't been mean to me at all, like nothing personal. And I'm being a little personal with him. So like, I'm gonna give him like a sincere compliment. But yeah, it's like you're gonna get a little Duper's delight, but it's good to be aware of it. Kind of like with any brainwashing conditioning, it's not like you can avoid it. In America, we have this illusion that we can avoid being conditioned, when in fact we're like the greatest psyoped people of all time.
It's
But
crazy.
yeah, the real answer, once you study brainwashing, the real answer is choose what you will be conditioned by, and I choose orthodoxy.
Well, yeah,
Orthodoxy is very
everybody's
clear.
conditioned to specific paradigms, worldviews, etc. And I think that that's part of the reason why I'm a huge advocate that it's time for Orthodox to start building their own institutions. Because like if you're not propagandizing your children, somebody else will, right? If you're not propagandizing yourself by reading the saints, right, you're gonna get propagandized by something else, right? And I think that's the big thing. And another thing that I've been like a huge advocate recently of just telling people, it's like you really like, and I think this is something that Orthodoxy. I mean, me and you have been in the Orthodox like online sphere roughly the same amount of time. You were baptized before me, but I was a catechumen for 3 years, and we knew each other during that time. And I remember the early days of Orthodoxy when there was that initial surge of people coming in. Man, was it the Wild West, right? Like it was crazy, man. There were people, and a lot of those people fell off. Some of the people that were the most intense about it, you know what I mean? Some of those people have straight up apostatized, right? Is that the right way to say it? I don't remember, but I can't remember my grammar today. But yeah, like a lot of those people are no longer even in the faith, and I think the biggest thing that I've always, I mean, maybe it's because the way I grew up, but I always felt like going through the fire and the flame was like a good way for me. And I think a lot of young people feel that, but then they don't realize that that's not the same as like other things. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, not everyone needs that same like rigor and fire. And I see this with like how young men a lot of times treat women in terms of their evangelistic efforts. Women are very different. You know what I mean? Like on average. In how they engage with the faith altogether. And I think that a lot of young men are still trying to figure that out, and I think it's a younger generation problem mostly, but
I think it's spot on. I know that there was a guy at my last parish who he came to me like for coaching, and we ended up just talking a bit. And but he was telling me like a lot of the dates weren't going well, and I kind of guessed, and I asked in my head, and I was like, I said, how do you talk to the girl about orthodoxy? And he's like, well, I want to be, his logic totally sound, but I picked up that this was probably what he was gonna say. He's like, yeah, I want to be clear and I want to be direct. I don't want to lead her on or anything. So I usually mention like that I expect my wife to be Orthodox. And I told him, I said, honestly, I mean, I get where you're coming from. I said, but that's part of the problem, probably, because a woman didn't come there to sign up for a religion. She came to see if she's interested in you. And I said, there's a balance, because to some degree, like if that's your standard, that's your standard. But I said, I would, it's actually Orthodox to like focus on being someone that's appealing and be someone that would appeal to her.
She's got to want to submit to you.
Yeah, exactly. And then when she realizes where that comes from, she's most likely to want to become Orthodox. Not guaranteed, but very much the most likely. But yeah, you can't.
I've met, to add to what you're saying, I've met some of the best converts, female converts to Orthodoxy, are women that followed their husband or followed their boyfriend into it because of how much they were into their boyfriend. And those women were upfront willing to submit to them, not just in terms of religion, but just in general. They're like, I want to submit to this man in all ways because what he likes, I like, right? If they like you, they're gonna. I think it's aren't the statistics. I haven't seen them in a while, but it's like something like 80 to 85% of women convert to the religion of their spouse or their significant other.
That's not surprising.
So,
yeah.
And for men, it's like actually like significantly lower. I think it's just because maybe it's in our nature. I'm not sure, but the point is that too many young men are focused on, I need to get to like this spiritual high with this person. No, the whole point is this is a eternal journey with this person. Like if this is the person you're marrying, theosis and this unity doesn't stop in the eschaton, right? Like your marriage isn't dissolved in the eschaton. This is a eternal process with another person that you're unified together in one flesh, And I think that that's something that they forget is that they're thinking, oh, I need to get this woman who's really, really on fire for the Lord. It's like, well, yeah, but also that's not the priority. That's not the opener. You know, the opener
Yeah.
is to see if you're compatible in personality and in other ways, right? I've met a Buddhist girl. She married an Orthodox guy. Well, he wasn't Orthodox, he was a catechumen, but he was dating her, and she was Buddhist. But she was like nominally Buddhist, right? She was like in Japan. And they had a really solid relationship, but he was really starting to get convinced of Orthodoxy, and he started making his way in there. And she naturally followed his lead. She just went with him. She started going because she wanted to do what he was interested in because she liked him, right? And she trusted him. You have to build that trust first. And I say this as somebody who I was married when I came into Orthodoxy, and my wife is still very slow into coming in, but it had to be a time of building up trust for that, right? Because previously there was no trust built for religion. It was just kind of unspoken. We never really talked religion when we first got married, you know? So it takes time. And so my wife came to the point where she trusted me to raise our daughter Orthodox. And now she's starting to get more trusting in these other ways, right? It takes time. And I think a lot of guys want to rush it. It's like they want it all done at once. And it's like these things don't happen at once, you know?
Yeah. There's totally exceptions to this. Like, these are not, I always hate when people make it like overly black and white just because it's not. Like, it's reality. It's not, you know, like a feminist or talking point or whatever, but it's like, you know, there's exceptions to all these things. However, of course, the defaults are that women just aren't generally on average as interested in like church history facts and like quote unquote being autistic and whatever. And so it's like the thing that converted the average guy is not going to convert the average woman. There's exceptions on both ends, but one thing I think that's really key, actually espresso flirt to convert does work. Many such marriages. That's how the apostles converted a lot of pagan women, because they were like saying you're co-equal to God, and then these pagan women started acting like Christians, and their husbands who had like 10 wives, these pagan men, were like, how come this wife is actually good to me? These other ones are like snooty and status driven and want constant attention, and this woman thinks about me, serves to me, submits to me, like, and then they end up converting. So it was like this pipeline, the apostle to pagan woman to pagan husband pipeline, and then of course he converts his whole household. Good night, Turtle. Good to see you. I think one thing that's really key, at least this is my strategy. I talk to women sometimes. You know, I'm 35 and I'm single. I talk to women sometimes in person. Shocker, I know. Thaddeus reveals his darkest secrets. I talk to women sometimes, but and online too. And one technique I use, and I encourage people. You know, it might be in your own wording. You know, I have my specific way I like to word things. But one thing I use that I really encourage guys to consider is, deep down, what everyone wants, but especially women, and especially someone like when it's a romantic situation, it sounds weird, but they want you to die for them. A husband wants his wife to die for them, and a wife wants her husband to die for her. And this is oh great, Jonathan's gonna expose me on Twitter now that I talk to women. But it's like that's what people want, and so like that's what we have to offer, and that comes from orthodoxy. So if you're offering that, you're selling orthodoxy. And so, you know, when I talk to someone who's like, say, not a Christian, but maybe I can, like, it's like, you know, they're hippie, maybe a little feminist, whatever, but they're not like hateful and brainwashed, and it's like I can tell there's like maybe a chance they would be Orthodox. It's hard to judge this, but just I use this either way just to give them a good chance. But I usually say, like, look, my goal in life, you know, I don't use any Orthodox language. Orthodoxy is behind all of this, and I think any Orthodox Christian can see it. But I say my goal in life is to become a sacrificial person, and that's it. That's all. Like that's my goal. My goal is to be someone who has actual sacrificial agape love, and my purpose in getting married is to learn and practice that. Now, I want to marry someone who's also interested in that, but I would understand that they want me to be interested in that too. So that's what I live for. I'm not perfect. I'm going to make lots of mistakes, and it's going to break my heart that I do. or maybe it's going to be heartbreaking that he doesn't break it enough. I don't know. But like, my goal is to be someone who's sacrificial, and I'm looking for someone who's mutually interested in that. And the thing is women like that. Even if they're feminists, like even if they're like a little brainwashed, they're that's what they're longing for. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to like, oh, it's magic and you can convert them. You have to, before any of this, before any strategies, you have to leave everything to God. That's like a whole other conversation. But like, you can't, if you're approaching these things not as if God is involved and he has a plan for you, you go off the rails as it is. So you have to have that foundation first. There's no guarantees except that God will use all things for good, and you should tap into that. But within God's...
I would say this too, just to add to what you're saying, is that I think a lot of clergy say that too, right?
Yeah, they do. All the saints say it.
You're familiar with Father Turbo, right? Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Father Turbo says something that always sticks with me. He's like, how can you expect to have your own life in order if you're not even doing the basics of orthodoxy, right? So like if you're really wanting a woman to follow after you, are you even getting the basics right? Like, are you attending the divine services? At minimum, you should be going to divine liturgy every week. At minimum, right? At minimum, you should be doing your morning and evening prayers. At minimum, you should be trying to do your fasting. It doesn't mean you have to be super rigorous, strict, but I mean, you have to be at least putting some sort of effort into getting to some level of fasting in your life. Are you accomplishing any of that? And then why are you shocked that you're not seeing results in other areas of your life if you're not even disciplined enough in one of the most important aspects of it, right? And women will notice that as well. Women notice if a man's disciplined. This is why a lot of men that go to the gym have an easier time of, I guess, impressing the ladies, right? Because it shows discipline, right? And that's just one little tiny aspect. I think that's something that's really important too. And I think Father Turbo hit it out of the park with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just the practical side either. Like, I mean, it is the practical side completely. Women can tell that you like discipline yourself, and you're, that's part of being sacrificial, is that you're willing to like go sweat at the gym rather than playing video games. But also, particularly when it comes to spiritual life, and Elder Thaddeus talks about this, that the more you live the Orthodox spiritual life, the more the Holy Spirit dwells in you. And a woman feels that more than anything. That's the most powerful force there is. So if you're actually like working on yourself, thanking God in all things that happen to you, etc., like living life as if it is God's, and it is a spiritual battleground for repentance. Not just like living orthodoxy, like, okay, so I can get a wife, like, we're off to a bad start. But like, God has to be an end in himself. And I'm often telling once in a while a client, I was just posting this on social media recently, but there's like a key thing to understand is anything difficult is something to purify us in God's plan. And we want to tap into that by thanking God for it. Doesn't mean we like it. Not at all. In fact, the opposite. God understands and hurts with us. Like I was saying earlier, he weeps with us when we're weeping. But we also need to thank God because of how it changes you, because of how it transforms you. And so we really need to, as single people, like myself, as people who are single, we need to be thanking God in the midst of the difficulty and understanding that wherever there is pain is also there's purification. So there is a risk. Anything that I love and think is beautiful is a risk of idolatry. Like we're really thrown off by Western Christianity, where like the big things we're afraid of is like murder and adultery and all this stuff. And it's like if those happen, there was a bunch of things that started off real small and sneaky long before that. And they started off with good intentions. And so if that happens, then those things go really wrong. So the most dangerous things spiritually for us are not murder and adultery. It's, the little things that are sneaky and we can rationalize and justify. And so that's why, like, Protestants, one of their biggest idols, and I think us Orthodox can still suffer from it, but it was a big thing in, like, evangelicalism, is getting married. They don't have a deep spiritual life. They don't have a deep walk with Christ, not because they're bad people at all. The opposite. They're lacking the tradition, and they wish they had it. Many of them do. But, like, they compensate. So they're hoping that to like do ministry. Maybe that'll make me feel like a good Christian. They want marriage because they're depressed and sad and lonely. And it's like we Orthodox are like, seek Christ. Like, sure, we're going to try and get married, some of us, but like seek Christ. That's the first way you find any satisfaction in life. And if you get married and you don't have Christ, you're going to destroy it. So you have to seek Christ either way. So the time that, going back to my main point, the time that we're single, we need to practice living the spiritual life, because how are we going to be a good spiritual leader when we're married? So if I keep going on dates and they don't work out and I'm whining and complaining, well, you know right there why you're single. Because if you got married and then you face the hardships of marriage that everyone faces, you'd be a whiner and a complainer. And you destroy the gift that God gave you. He doesn't want to do that to a woman. He doesn't want to enable you to do that to yourself. He doesn't want you to do that to your kids. So learn to thank God in all things now while you're going through singleness. Thank God for it. It will purify your relationship to your future wife, meaning keep her from being an idol that gets in the way of God and instead participates in your walk with God, because your heart will have burned that away. But also, once you're the husband, your family will go through hard times and you'll say, look, guys, you'll weep with them and you'll be sad with them. Maybe you're like poor, or maybe one of the family members passed away, but you'll say, Lord, or you'll say to them, look, this is hard and I'm so sorry, guys, but it's hard for me too, but I know the Lord is with us. I know He's using this. I know He has a plan. Even when we're going through suffering, He's using that to give us peace and purify our hearts. Glory to God in all things. Will you guys pray that with me? Like, that's what a good dad's going to do, a spiritually masculine man. More important than anything else is that. Now, obviously, other stuff matters too. Try and be a provider, try and be healthy, work, the different things. But there's nothing more important. I mean, when the government gets corrupt in your country and comes and attacks people, you're not going to have a job anyways. Like, you're going to be poor, maybe you're poor and living under the floorboards or something, I don't know. But your spiritual leadership, there's no time when you don't need that. There's no time, and everyone should have that, but especially men.
Yes.
So I think that's so key.
Yeah, and I think, it's really easy to bash on men nowadays, but there is, how do I say this? Because there is a balance here, right? So obviously the excesses of feminism in the culture has caused a lot of young men to feel like, well, why am I getting criticized? Why is all this being laid at my feet? It's like, because the burden is on the men to lead. And if we're going to be led out of this cultural thing, we have to make the sacrifice. We have to make the sacrifice, right? We can't look to the woman and say, fix it. Otherwise, we're offloading our responsibility, just like a lot of men do in their marriages and in their relationships. They offload the responsibility. And so I got in a lot of trouble. I think you were around during that time. I said this, like, on Twitter, it blew up. I said, man, you have to fix this. And the Groypers just ripped me apart. They're like, oh my gosh, you're such a simp. You're simping for your wife. Like, how can I simp for my wife? My wife doesn't have, like if we're going to take the scripture seriously, my wife doesn't have the same, consequences of action that I do. I'm given the responsibility of leading the household. And so she's not going to be held accountable for how she leads the household. No, it's going to be me who's held accountable for that. God's going to judge me for that, because that's the responsibility He's given to men, right, in a marriage and in a relationship. And so I think that's where a lot of young men get lost in it. But that being said, this does not mean women get a free pass. And this is where there needs to be a balance here, because I think there is some truth to it that a lot of ladies, they just kind of coast through it. And they're like, oh, I don't have to really think about it. It's like, no, like, there is self-policing within women, right? And women need to self-police. One of the easiest ways women can self-police, and I say this, and I got bashed by women for this when I posted this, because I got a lot of hate for this from particularly the evangelical Protestant sphere. I said, women, there's literally zero excuse to be wearing a bikini ever, to dress immodestly ever. There's literally no reason if you're a Christian, right? If you're a Christian woman, why are you doing that? It's needless temptation to young men who already have enough issues with the inundation of porn in, like, everywhere in society, right? And then you're going to add that on top of that pressure, that not just on young men, but also other young women who have to live up to this insane standard that is set, right? And I think that is, like, women need to stand up too, but ultimately when all is said and done, it is men that have to lead us out and lead the culture out of this thing. And that's why men are coming to the church first, and I think you're going to see a wave of women come in after. Once these men become more spiritually mature, they're going to see that. They're going to say, I want that. Women want. And so I think that's what's going to end up happening. I think there's probably going to be a 3 or 4 year, maybe 5-year delay in terms of how many. But I think even the Orthodox Institute of Research, or Studies Research Institute, or whatever, I can't remember its name, they just did a study saying it's actually not that big of a disparity from men to women coming into the church. It's about 60-40.
They said the disparity is single women. Like when people will say, oh, all these single young men, it's like, yeah, but you have these married couples coming to the church. There's tons of women coming to the church, but single women, it is a low number. So the church is not lacking women. In fact, married women are some of the best women you could possibly have in your church. Married men too. So, and then unfortunately it has to have me also.
Even families too, because they're the ones that build the next generation of young people, including young women who are raised in the church. You might have to suffer a little bit. You might have to flirt to convert. I'm actually an advocate for that. I typically say do it with extreme caution, with guidance of a spiritual father and in prayer.
Yeah.
But I see no problem with the quote-unquote flirting to converting, especially because, like you said, historically, what were the early Christians going to do? But just like, none of them get married. I was like, oh, you're a young man, you convert. You're the only one in your whole city. You're the first convert from like St. Paul. What are you going to do? It's like, unless you're going to become a monastic. So I think, or a martyr. A lot of them ended up being martyred. But, I just think it's so important to have that nuance there. And I really hope that it helps. I'm so glad that, again, like you were saying earlier, Cleve, Alex Soren, both married guys. Cleve is a father. I don't know if Alex is a father. I don't think he's ever mentioned it on stream. Those are two up-and-coming apologists who have clergy that are regularly on their channels, who are policing them, and I think that's really healthy for the online sphere, and not just the online sphere, but just the health of the Orthodox movement altogether. So yeah, definitely agree with you there. I think the other thing I wanted to add, which you were discussing, is the whole niceness versus firmness thing. Culturally, I grew up very firm, right? Like, I grew up with kind of rural Minnesota, rough and tumble. You go hunting, you BS with the guys, you rib people with your elbows, and all those things. And I feel like there's a balance between that. I've had to learn. I've tempered myself over time. I'm still not great. Sometimes I still lose my temper. That's a trait that's inherited from my grandfather and my father before me. We don't have the strongest patience in my line of men.
Yeah, okay, Nikolai, play the Lady Gaga card. I was born this way.
Okay. But I don't use it as an excuse for my sin. Obviously, I still repent and I still confess those things when I do go too far. But I do think that for me, I wouldn't want it any other way. I just want it tempered in a way that's Christ-like.
Yeah.
Right? Just like there are some people that need it tempered in a way that maybe they are less, I don't know, macho style masculine, right? But I think it's really important to have all of that, And that's why I think all these different angles are important. And there was a stream of people, at least for a short time there, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 years ago. It really peaked at 4 years ago. But there were people that were just like, we need to be like hyper, like fixated on masculinity in the culture. And I think it was a reaction to how bad it got under Biden, in particular, the culture with the transgender stuff, with the attack on masculinity, the attack on white males in particular.
I'm a feminist. I'm a feminist. I'm a feminist.
It's so true. But that's what it was, right? I think that, but now that that's kind of died down and there's not this like instinctual need to defend ourselves, I think you're going to see that tempered. I think I really do. So. Yeah.
I'm probably going to get going here soon. I'll add one last thought, and then if you want to add something too, you're welcome to. And then I'm probably going to head off for the night. But thank you everyone for coming. I want to say real quick, and I've been reading the chat here. And Jonathan's right. Like, should just focus on being Orthodox. Yeah, like I always tell people, God likes us to have our own will. he likes us to act, because some people will do the like, oh, so we should just, if I'm just trusting God, I sit by and do nothing. It's like, no, you build your foundation on trusting God, and then you pray and you take action within the realm of being friends with him. Like, I don't go to my, like, I try to live in alignment with my wife, but she also doesn't want me to, like, be like a slave who's like, I only do what you say and I don't think for myself. Like, God doesn't want that. So we're trying to go to God constantly, but like our emphasis is on him and trusting him, etc. And we're going out on dates or whatever we do as participation in that, as obedience to that. And I also think it's key. What was the two things? One, really, really big is that, a theme in Orthodoxy is taking responsibility. St. Paisios says that if we this one gets me a lot. Sometimes I accidentally remember it when I don't want to, when I'm posting on Twitter. He says if we're scandalized by something, we're at fault. But if we scandalize someone else, we're at fault. And it's like, if you're just thinking legally or something, or beating yourself up, it's almost like, oh, it's a catch-22. It's like, no, what his point is take responsibility. You should have compassion towards other people so that you are less scandalized by them, and also so that you make an effort not to scandalize them, even if they're wrong. And of course, it's not like a law. Like, there's a time where you're going to scandalize people doing the right thing. Or even just like, I made a guy joke to another guy and a woman overheard and she didn't like it. Like, it's going to happen. But you still, like, this is one of those principles. Like, you try and take responsibility if you realistically can. And it's really interesting, and like you were saying this with the Groypers, Eve's first problem is that she thinks independently from God. She can think independently, and then she should have gone to God and asked him if it made sense to eat the fruit, but she didn't. That's the beginning of the problem. The next sin, after that, that's already sin. The next sin is that she eats the fruit. She participates completely and plays out completely disobedience, and pride, independence, and now that she's done it once, she grasps it. Kind of like the first time you do a drug, and now you grasp what it's like to be on that drug, or to be drunk. You're like, what's being drunk? And then you have your first drunk experience. Now she's experienced what it's like to be her own master of good and evil. She now has the knowledge of it, because she's participated in it. Now, and then Adam eats the fruit, and he has it too. He knows what it's like to participate. And now that he knows how to master good and evil, what's the first sin that is done with that knowledge? You have knowledge of how to use the judicial system, how to be a lawyer. And he blames God and Eve for the sin that he did. And that is the first sin from the knowledge of good and evil, is the blame game. And Adam does it. And ever since, it's been like the first and foremost repulsive sin of men, which, I mean, I do it, we all are tempted by it in ways, is to blame other people. Women should not blame other people either. Like St. Paisios said, everyone should be taking responsibility wherever they're at. So you see that meme, and it's totally right. That's like the trad woman saying women should dress modestly, and the guy's like, yes, and he's like, men should control their thoughts, and she's like, yes, and it's like, yeah, that's the Orthodox view. Whereas it's the devil, his favorite game is to get the two sides polarized and using the valid problems of the other to justify their problems. And it's like all these men, weak, like, I'm not going to say I'm a strong man, but I try not to make excuses, because that's the weakest. The weakest is making excuses, because excuses is the opposite of repentance. You can have your problems, whatever, your sins, your struggles. Like, I would rather you struggle with pornography than be a man who makes excuses. Because a man who makes excuses will not make progress on any other sin. To fight that in yourself. And a man who blames other people, it's worse, because you're not just making excuses, but you're sacrificing another person to make your excuse. And so that's like the big problem with the Groypers. A lot of them have been through valid pain, trauma that I would validate them with, but like every single one of us needs to take responsibility, and we want to pick a spouse based on the fact that they take responsibility. And so I think that's very key. And the last thing I'll say, because Espresso was asking about this, so she was talking about let me scroll up to the question. if that person is right for you, God will guide them towards following you into orthodoxy. Yeah, Espresso, I think you're probably still here. But the answer to that is technically no. That there's no guarantee they'll become Orthodox.
Yeah, because we have free will.
Yeah, but God will use it. God will absolutely use it. And I do think if you're living the spiritual life, I always say you give them the best chance. I would say it's very realistic. You just can't place your hope in it. There's no guarantee what your spouse is going to do. But bare minimum, like a lot of, like, I mean, I could tell all these...
Did you listen to the chat that Alex and Father Stephen had yesterday? I think we
No.
touched on this a little bit, where we very, very lightly touched on it, and it was actually really, I think it might be really useful for Espresso. Your prayers are efficacious for other people.
Yeah.
Your faith in your spirit, your almsgiving, your works, I know, scary word, works, your works, your faithfulness, especially to your spouse, your faith is salvific for them, as long as it's in accordance with their free will, right? Because we see this with Emperor Trajan, which Father Stephen said was a good example when I brought it up. Emperor Trajan's, he felt relief in Hades because of the prayers of the saints for his soul, right? And we pray that in the eschaton, or in the final judgment, that he will be judged in accordance for those things. That our alms, our works, will be seen in light of his lack thereof, right? His lack of works, or his lack of whatever is insufficient in his own being to unite him with God. We pray that our alms can do so, as long as it's in accordance with their will. That's the thing. We Orthodox obviously completely affirm free will. So
Yeah. There's a like, so key to our theology is that all human beings are connected, as the three persons of the Trinity are, except our connection is like dulled and darkened and broken. Which is why the saints say, if you sin, you affect everyone. But also, if you fight spiritually, any victory you have affects everyone. And so it's like, it's at both and. On one hand, we can't say for sure that a person's going to become Orthodox, but we can also say it's incredible how powerful Orthodoxy is. And I can tell you a handful of failure stories, and I can tell you so many success stories where one person was Orthodox and the other person resisted, sometimes for a decade. What's his name? In the Clouds, something in the Clouds.
I know, a Cloud of Witnesses or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He's I've had some good interactions with him. That guy's blessed me a lot. He's a little feisty, but he's a really good guy. But he and his wife, he converted from Protestantism, and for 10 years, Orthodoxy in the Clouds, that's what it is. His wife for 10 years wouldn't have anything to do with it and was very, like, negative. And then 10 years later, she's like, I wanted to go to church. And, like, very shortly after, she was received into the church. It was just like God was knocking on the door, and eventually, like, one day she's just like, fine, I'll open it. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, God, it is powerful, our prayers and our piety and the grace of God, like you said, and we are connected, but especially marriage. So, yeah.
And this is why we pray for the departed. I mean, if our prayers and there was no hope for those who had departed, why would the church and why would the saints and why would God tell us to pray for them, right? And I think that there's deep hope there. There's deeper hope there than any other, Christian sect has. It's a very unique thing to Orthodoxy, right? It's very unique to Orthodoxy, the way that we view these things. And I guess to leave it off, and then I'll skedat here for you, so you're not, we're not keeping you up all night.
Yeah, no worries.
But I think the one thing, this is why I'm such a big, I hammer the atonement stuff so much online, and this is why people are like, well, why don't you just drop it? It's like, because it's so vital to how we see our day-to-day life in the church.
Yes.
Because it influences the way we approach the very people that we're interacting with.
Yes.
And I think, you know, Craig Truglia's video, I don't know if you've seen that one either, the one where he calls it economic atonement. Um,
I forget if I actually watched it. I think it might still be
You
in my
should.
watch queue.
it's fantastic. It's really, really good.
I
Craig is
wanna
probably-
make a video on PSA one day. Like, I know there's so
Oh.
much good content about it, but I want to do it.
Alex is doing a whole like breakdown of Tulip right now. It's a series he's doing. And
I
then,
saw part of the first one, I think.
Yeah, he did really good with the total depravity. And then, but Craig Truglia's video on PSA/economic atonement, I think, is really the linchpin of all of that. But that being said, you know, Father Stephen has covered it many times. I mean, just overtly. And so
Yeah, he's been a huge influence for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and Father Stephen, I think, is one of those people that understands his role as pastoral, because he even tells people, he's like, I'm really mean. He's like, I'm really mean. He says, that's why I don't debate. Because I would rip people apart. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's fair enough, right? And I think that's important to understand who you are. I think, like, when someone has that ability to self-analyze, but, you know, is really good. And yeah, that's why I always hammer that home, because it's like, guys, it's important that we get the basics down, because what those basics do is inform our praxis. And our praxis is everything in Orthodoxy. Everything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you don't have praxis, you don't have anything. I can tell you, when I've gone through periods of time where I haven't been able to get to church for a few months because of various life events. As a lot of people are aware, I'm dealing with my own health issues. My father-in-law has cancer as well, so we've been very, you know, dealing with a lot of that. And I appreciate everyone's prayers for that. It's been phenomenal. Everyone's been so gracious for that. But, you know, when I haven't been able to make it for a couple of weeks, and some of them are self-excuses, admittedly enough. It's like, you know, I'll be showing up an hour late, so I might as well just not go at all. You know, sometimes it's like that, right? But when I haven't been able to make it, even when there's legitimate reasons for not being able to make it, I feel so spiritually dry. And I see things in my life start to fray at the edges. And it's like, it's so important to have such good practice. I think if that's the thing I can emphasize more than anything, what outside of the relationship stuff, that stuff will fall into place if you have your practice in order, right?
Yeah.
Not saying it's going to appear out of thin air. You still have to do something about it. Like, God expects us to actually, like, go out and do things, right? Like, God expects that. But if you don't have your praxis in order, nothing is going to fall into order properly. And I think we've talked about this in the past, and this will leave it on. Is like, when I first entered the stream, you were kind of talking about how to deal with, like, depression, or how to deal with, like, anxiety, all these different, like, various, like, things with your coaching praxis. And you talked about how it's like dwelling on the saints and what they say is really important. And like repeating those things to yourself. In a similar way, I do that subconsciously. I never realized I did this until we talked a couple years ago about this, and I think we left it on hold on that. But when I'm going out on my walks, I do walk and talks. That's some of the live streams I do. I just go on walks when it's really nice out and stuff like that. But one of the things I always tell people is get outside, walk, and then make sure you verbalize things that you appreciate and say glory to God for it. Like, oh, the air is real. It's like fresh air. Glory to God for that. Even if it's like, you could interpret it as, oh, it's a little breezy and chilly. Or you could just say, wow, fresh air. Glory to God. Oh, it's bright out. There's not a cloud in the sky. Glory to God. When you do those things and you dwell on that which you can appreciate, I think that that's really good for your mental health. And that's the one thing I mean, you can expand on that as you need to the chat, but I really, if I can leave anyone with any advice, if you're dealing with despondency, depression, you know, it's normally, in my opinion, it's environment. You're stuck in your room, or you're isolating yourself. And then also, you're not dwelling on that which is you can appreciate. There are things in your life, even when you're in the worst state possible, there are things you can give glory to God for, right? And I think that's something that people really need to start learning to do more often. Because, I mean, just read, if you want to get humble, read what happened to the Russian martyrs during the Bolsheviks, right? I think that's so important to do. So, anyways, that's what I'll leave it off on. I'll let you wrap up the stream and give your thoughts on that, and I'll bow out here. God
Okay,
bless.
sounds good. Good having you on. Yeah, let's do it again sometime.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm down sometime. I'll have to come on your stream if you want to have me on. I'd love to. So.
Yeah, I do have StreamYard, so I just put the link in chat whenever I have it available. So you can always just click the link, and I'll bring you up, brother.
Okay, awesome. That'd be great. So have a good one, Nikolai. God bless. Thanks for coming on, being my first guest, I guess, basically. So yeah.
God bless you. Yeah, have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll respond to that, and then I'll probably get going here. Yeah, Nikolai is totally right. The thanking God as much as you can is absolutely vital. It's not like I used to have people tell me like, oh, thank God more, and it didn't like, it was kind of like, why I want to die, I don't feel thankful. So it's but it's very key, because you see more of the good things because you're looking for them. More I don't want to say more vital, it's just like kind of circumstantial. I think for some people this is a level, like, you thank God for the good things as much as you can, and then you move up to a higher version of thanking God, which is thanking God for the difficulties. And that's in some ways it's a harder thing to thank God for the difficulties, but also Orthodoxy explains why you would do that, because otherwise I don't know why you would thank God for the difficulties, like, just because you're supposed to. I'm not thankful. That sounds awful. But it's because it softens the heart. I've already talked about the crowbar this stream, and I've talked about it many times, like, suffering is the crowbar. When you thank God for suffering, it opens the heart more to receiving more of his love, giving more of his love back to him, and giving real love to other people. If you want to be a hero, you want to be like your favorite heroes, be like the saints, be like Marvel superheroes. I mean, they generally are actually good, godly characters, like dying for other people. Spider-Man willing to die for people. When they're like that, that's extremely Christian, despite the Reddit Disney cringe of superheroes today. That hasn't changed. At the core, they are still classic heroes, and classic heroes are archetypes of Christ. If you want to actually be that, to thank God in suffering will turn you into that in the way that I described. And for some people, I was one of these people. I wanted to die, so I wasn't thankful for anything. It was like genuinely couldn't figure out how to be thankful. And then that switched to me when I first read Elder Thaddeus, and he's like, thank God in suffering for these reasons. I was like, well, I'll try it as like a method. Like, if it does transform me like that, I guess that would be great. And and as I started thanking God when I was suffering, thanking God when I was lonely, both socially and specifically romantically, etc., it really started changing me. And it reveals, if thanking God for the good things helps you see more of the good things, thanking God for the bad things helps you see the good in the bad. I mean, it causes them. It actually causes it to embrace the crowbar being in the heart and thanking God for it. That's the joining him and prying your heart open. It's very key to thank God for the good things and thank God for the bad things. Particularly the bad things, but I think a lot of times the simple thing is just thanking him for the good things. Lord, thank you that I have an apartment to live in. Thank you that my apartment isn't a studio. I have a bedroom, like, even if it's small, but I can put a bed in there. Thank you, Lord, that like eBay has icons, so I can have a lot of icons. Like, they're cheap. Whatever. Like, you don't realize until you start looking for things to thank God for. And the demons are constantly sending you negative thoughts. So if you don't fight towards the good, you'll just have a head full of negative thoughts. Like, so this is why we're so thankful to God for bringing us the saints. I know, like, I am. Maybe I should be more thankful, but that's so key. That is the beginning of mental health, I would argue. Like, as a fake Orthodox therapist, like life coach, grifter. That there's nothing that's more of a foundation than mental health. And the reality is that thanking God for suffering is even like a prerequisite for the Eucharist really like sinking into our hearts. So this is very key. Last thing I'll say before I get going here, and thank you again to Nikolai for coming on. That was wonderful. I'm very honored to have him as my first official guest. I'll comment on this discussion happening in the chat because it's a very good discussion. I think Espresso is right that like a lot of, what is toxic masculinity if we even believe it exists, whatever. Also toxic femininity. It's confusing, and I think it's nice because that expectation that like we're gonna die. Father Paul, my priest, was saying that recently. Someone asked him, like, what's the Orthodox idea of headship? And he looked up at the icon of Christ on the cross and was like, there it is. Like, notice Mary's not on the cross and none of Christ's friends are on the cross. He's on the cross and he's the most innocent. Like, that's masculinity. That's the headship of a man. It was like, yeah, there it is. And that's, the gripers would be like, ribbit, whatever. But yeah, like that's expecting anyone else to be on the cross and demanding why you shouldn't be and someone else should be, that is the opposite of masculinity. Now, a man hopes that his wife would also be someone who's going to put themselves on the cross, especially for the kids, especially for cooking, and he should be thankful that that's what she's doing. Like that's putting yourself on the cross. Thanksgiving, we already talked about that. So that was like literally what segued into this conversation. But like he should be thankful. But I've told many of my clients, like, yeah, Christianity teaches like the wife should have this leaning towards obedience towards the husband. But also you get to pick your husband. And even in arranged marriages, the goal was to find a husband that was worth submitting to. Now that you have more control over it, there's less arrangements going on. And if you want an arranged marriage, it's literally just ask your priest and your parishioners and friends for help. That's what an arranged marriage is. It's not forced marriage. That's like a movie meme. That's a bad arranged marriage historically. Your parents are supposed to be factoring in your desires when they arrange you a marriage and pick, like, a good arranged marriage is factors in your opinions and your thoughts. You're just not, they're just taking such a leadership role in it. But regardless, like, you should not marry a man that you don't trust to be on the cross. Now, does that mean he's always going to be on the cross? No, and you're not going to be on the cross all the time either. You're not perfect, neither one of you. But one of my female friends, I might have talked about this before, but one of my female friends, she's like, she was really like thinking something was wrong with her, and I was like, first thing was to validate, like, no, that's not you, unfortunately. She kept dating guys, and they kept opening up to her that they were struggling with pornography, and she's like, what's wrong with me that I keep dating these kinds of guys? And I was like, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is it's most guys. The good news is it's not you. And yeah, like, it's just, unfortunately, it's this day and age. But she's like, okay, well, that's comforting, except, like, what do? I just don't care that guys look at porn. And I was like, I thought about it for a little bit, but I told her, I said, here's what I would say is the line. I said, God willing, maybe you'll find a guy who, like, doesn't struggle with that at all. But I said, here's what really matters. Marry a guy who's at war. Marry a guy who is serious. The first sign that he's serious is that he's repentant and apologizes and is heartbroken. If he makes excuses, again, that's like the worst sign. That's the worst sign. Like, better a lazy guy who admits, like, Lord help me, I'm a lazy sinner. That is better, man, for you than a guy who makes excuses. Even if he's like rich and he'll provide for you and whatever, if he's a guy who makes excuses, better the lazy guy who practices repentance than the hardworking guy who blames everyone else. Yeah, because repentance is the foundation of everything. But repentance also implies struggle. And so they should be struggling. They should be like, oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. They should apologize. They should, put in some kind of effort. And so, like, that's the key thing. And that's how you know, at least at a base level, he's the kind of guy who's trying to put himself on the cross. Marry a guy who's at war. And likewise, a girl who's at war, too. Obviously, we don't use that word the same. But, yeah, like that pursuit of actually taking up the cross like Christ said. That's the standard for everything. I have an article. Anybody can go to ThaddeusThought.com and go on my blog, and there's a post there called about masculinity and the cross. How the cross reveals true masculinity. And I note in that article that people will go, well, aren't women supposed to take up their cross? It's like, yeah, the cross also reveals true femininity. it's a similar path, even though it leads to different results. We don't. Well, there's this presupposition that we have to like consciously choose to behave different in order to be good men or good women, and I'm not saying there's none of that, but like it's not necessarily like you can be different. It doesn't have to be behavior. Like some things are just different by nature. It just naturally express themselves differently. But I always tell people, especially if there's dealing with like I don't feel like a man, I don't feel like a woman. I talk to people with gender dysphoric feelings, and I always say just be a godly person. And I trust that God has made you well enough that if he's healing you as a person, you'll be whatever man or woman you were born to be. If you were born a man, be a godly person, seek God, and whatever comes out of you, call it male. And I trust that it's going to work because it's God. So anyways, yeah, let me check the chat and then I might wrap up here. To be a friend of God is to be an enemy of the world. Yeah, real. Many such cases. I think we need to ask ourselves when the world attacks masculinity, femininity, marriage, etc., why we personally feel so attacked by it, why we feel such a need to defend ourselves. Absolutely. I think that's spot on. I also point out that to people a lot, that the world attacking masculinity often is to harm us. Like it's okay that men want to go out, shoot guns, have bro time, eat meat, all that stuff, like use the buzzsaw, like whatever, lift weights, like all this stuff that's traditionally associated with masculinity. I think when the world attacks that, it is because it's bad. They're trying to be bad. They're trying to hurt us, whatever. However, that doesn't actually logically mean, this is the really key nuance, that the solution is to defend masculinity. And I'm not saying don't defend masculinity, but I'm saying be virtuous and it naturally defeats all of it. Like you don't have to defend it. And the problem is people are just trying to defend masculinity. They're just like, we've got to force masculinity. Every guy needs to act like in this macho way, and that's how we own the libs. And it's like, no. Like, no. That's you're just the opposite side of the serpent. You're now the right-hand path instead of the left-hand path. Like, no. That's the game they're trying to get you to play. And it's the same with people can be like manosphere stuff, so we need feminism and we need to smash the patriarchy, and it's like, no, do patriarchy sacrificially, do it right, do it how God intended, image the Father and the way that he loves the Son and the Holy Spirit. Like that's how you win. But you don't go from the left-hand path to the right-hand path. The opposite of a lie is not the truth, as weird as that sounds. The opposite of a lie is an inverted version of the lie. Men suck. Okay, well, we're going to invert that lie. Okay, women suck? Like, no. So obviously opposite men suck is men are awesome, and the opposite of women suck is women are awesome. They're both awesome. So you could word it that way, but yeah, you can't. This is the problem with the Hegelian dialectic. I recorded a voice note on this. If anyone wants it, message me on some platform or whatever, and I'll send you this. I recorded a voice note the other day. It was kind of basically a lecture that I avoid. I record a lot of lectures on my voice notes that I never upload anywhere, but I've thought about like putting them on my Patreon or something. But it's about occult symbolism of the union of opposites, which Kabbalah and Baphomet and all these things have, and the Hegelian dialectic, and why there's some truth to it, and then how they're twisted into terrible evil, and why the cross and Christ are the only solution. Anyways, if anyone wants that, let me know. I'll happily send you the little voice note. I'd love to have feedback on it. But yeah, this is the game the devil plays. It's the symbolism of the serpent going side to side. I talk about that in the voice note too. But let's see here. Is it normal and valid to feel upset or maybe even angry about it? Yes, but why do we feel such a need to fight people about it? Exactly. There's a difference between being correct about something and having a valid point versus it being a passion. You can be right about something. That doesn't mean you have to get like road rage over it. Those are two different things. One is technical and one is spiritual. Yeah. So and you can tell too, because when someone has the right spiritual attitude about a valid problem, they're practical, they're realistic. What's actually going to change things? They're not just doing mental gymnastics to justify why they keep having stupid, pointless arguments on Facebook that don't get anywhere. Well, this is a cause that matters, and it's like, yeah, it does matter. That's why I'm asking you, what good is like you arguing with these boomer grandmas about it? Asking myself that, like you're against Zionism, cool. Like what's the point of like arguing with all these people in their Facebook comments? Nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. So, anyways, yeah, no, Espresso, I think you're spot on. I think C.S. Lewis goes down the same road too, where he's like, it's a different, like Screw Tape Letters deals with this, where it's like, get him to argue about things he's right about, because it'll be the hardest to convince him that he needs to stop arguing, because he's right, except in his heart, the most veiled and hidden place, and the most important, the place where God wants to make his dwelling, and he's trashing it in order to, make an earthquake outside and shake his enemies, but it's trashed inside. Yeah, Espresso, that's a good point. When you behave in that way, you actually make them more extreme. And when God judges, he's going to hold you responsible because you made that choice. Like, they saw you doing evil. There's going to be atheists that Christians get judged for them being atheists, as wild as that sounds. Like, because they grew up in a church of people that were loveless and prideful and arrogant, and then they said, if this is God, I reject him because I believe in love and truth. And then when they get to the last judgment, they're like, they're going to meet Christ, and he's going to say, I'm love and truth. And they're going to be like, this is love and truth. This is what I wanted. I want you. And it's not going to be them that's going to be held responsible. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen a lot or anything like that, but I think that that's totally plausible and a good point for us. St. John Chrysostom says there'd be no more pagans if our works truly shone. He's being more hyperbolic than I am, saying what I said. I think maybe there still would be pagans, but his point stands. When we see people who are not loving Christ, we need to, just like I was talking about earlier, we need to take responsibility. No more blame. Metropolitan Horothius Vlachos says, how can God save a man who justifies himself? As I've said in streams before, we create all these justifications, and those get recorded in like a spiritual logbook in a way, and then at the last judgment, those justifications get put out, and the devil, who's an experienced prosecutor, is going to destroy them. But when we leave everything to God and we practice repentance and we give our flaws to him and we ask him for help, then he's our defense lawyer. Each one of those things we give to him, especially the things we go to confession, those are things that when we get to last judgment, the devil's going to be like, he did this, he did this, he did this, he tried to say this, but he did this and this, and Christ is going to say, yeah, but did you also see that he did this, and he fought for me, and he cried when he sinned, and he didn't cry for himself, he cried for me and for the person that he hurt. Like, all of that is the kind of person I want to be with me. That's all the people that I think should be sheep. Like, Christ is on our side. He's not the judge in this way of being judgmental. He's the judge in that he's biased towards us and has the final say. Like, he's on our side, and the saints talk about this. It's so backwards. This is why Nikolai was talking about penal substitutionary atonement being so important. The God who's like, sorry, but I gotta kill somebody. So if I can't kill you guys, I'll kill my own son. Like, I'll kill him. And then, that pays this payment in his head of, like, retribution where there's no mercy. Because if you always demand a payment, you are not merciful. It's like denying the nature. It's logically denying the fact that God's merciful. People don't want to deny it, but it logically does. Mercy means you owe something and I'm not going to demand it of you. Switching to someone else is not being merciful. If you won't pay me, someone else needs to. Then I'm not merciful. That's not mercy. Changing who owes you is not merciful. God is not merciful if that is the case. That's not what's happening at the cross. Something far deeper is happening at the cross. So anyways, that's a good place to wrap up. Thank you for everyone that's been here. Some of you have been here for quite a while. You're masochists. You're gluttons for punishment. You should see a therapist, a real therapist, not a fake internet grifter. Don't contact me. You have serious problems if you've been on the stream that long. No, but for real, God bless y'all, and thank you for coming. And God willing, we'll do the same stream times next week. So I don't expect everybody to show up every Tuesday and Thursday and be here for 3 hours. If you want to, awesome, thank you. But it's designed so that people can just jump in and out. That's my goal. Maybe next week we'll even talk about the topics. Literally Tuesday and today we didn't talk about anything that are the titles of the stream. So but yeah, I hope you all find it edifying, and I had a wonderful time as always. And that's the goal. I mean, if I have a good time, and I guess if y'all are some way spiritually edified, whatever, I guess that matters. But I'm happy. So yeah, the topics are just there as a foundation. So yeah, Espresso is great having you. I'm so glad you were here. So it's so great to see people from the server. The server family is, I mean, everyone who comes here becomes a little family in themselves. But the server family is extra special to me because yeah, you guys all choose to be part of our community. Yeah, I mean, if you tell Father Paul that I'm a fake therapist, he's gonna be like, I knew it. I'm firing that guy. He's not he's a fake. I knew it. One of my clients sent a picture and they're like I met Father Paul and it's a picture with him and he's like, Father Paul said if I was sending this photo to you, he was gonna turn around. He didn't want to be in a photo for Thaddeus. So Father Paul has banter humor. He likes thick skin, which is great because I love it too. So yeah. So anyways, God bless you guys, and all the contact stuff is down below, and we'll see y'all around.